the rollout of the LCP. On May 8, the LCP was approved by the IATF. The President also gave it his full support
Rego,
and expressed
audio check. Can you hear me?
the demands of its execution. Be easy. It is not a perfect plan, and complications can be expected along the way. But extraordinary times call for extraordinary and proactive measures. And the Department of Education is ready to address the challenges.
You can hear me? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Along the way, with the help of our national and local government, partners, parents, and learners. As one nation, learning opportunities shall be available in this brave new world for our Filipino children.
Nang sumiklab ang giyera sa Marawi, maraming buhay at kabuhayan ang nawala. Maraming kabahayan at paaralan ang napinsala. Sa kabila ng matinding suliranin, naging matagumpay ang DepEd na mabigyan ang mga mag-aaral ng pagkakataong ipagpatuloy ang edukasyon at muling bumangon sa sitwasyon. Habang naghihintay sa pagkumpuni at pagsasaayos ng mga paaralan, nagkaloob ang DepEd ng mga temporary learning shelters, remedial classes, learning kits, at feeding programs para sa mga displaced learners. Nabigla ang lahat sa pag-alboruto ng Bulkang Taal. Libo-libong pamilya, kabilang ang mga guro at mag-aaral, ang nawalan ng tirahan at mga ari-arian. Mabilis ang naging tugon ng DepEd upang makapagpatuloy sa pag-aaral ang mga apektadong mag-aaral. Sinikap ng mga guro na turuan ang mga mag-aaral na pansamantalang tumuloy sa evacuation center. Tumama sa bansa ang COVID-19 pandemic, dahilan upang maantala ang normal na daloy ng pamumuhay at trabaho sa lahat ng sektor, kabilang na ang kagawaran ng edukasyon. Nang ipatupad ang Luzon lockdown, inilunsad ang DepEd Commons upang tuloy ang pagkatuto ng mga learners habang nasa bahay. Sa kabila ng mabigat na hamon sa ilalim ng new normal, patuloy na nagpunyagi ang DepEd upang maghanap at maghatid ng mga alternatibong pamamaraan upang magpatuloy ang edukasyon sa pinakaligtas at pinakaangkop na paraan. Sa ilalim ng Learning Continuity Plan, layunin ng DepEd na magpatuloy ang edukasyon nang hindi nakokompromiso ang kapakanan at kalusugan ng mga guro at mag-aaral. Isusulong ng DepEd ang tatlong pangunahing layunin: angkop na proteksyon, kaugnay ng mga health standards at safety protocols para sa ligtas na school year, patuloy na edukasyon sa pamamagitan ng blended learning, distance learning at homeschooling na angkop sa kapasidad ng bawat mag-aaral, at mabisang aksyon sa pakikipagtulungan sa lokal na pamahalaan at mga partner organizations upang maihatid ang dekalidad na edukasyon para sa lahat. Bawat DepEd division ay bumuo rin ng sarili nilang Learning Continuity Plan upang gabayan ang mga guro, mga magulang at mga mag-aaral sa bagong pamamaraan ng pag-aaral gamit ang online, modular at TV and radio-based instructions. Gamit ang iba't ibang learning modalities, nagdaos ng dry run ang mga paaralan sa iba't ibang bahagi ng bansa. Katuwang ang mga local government units at mga education partners upang maging handa sa bagong sistema ng edukasyon. Isinagawa rin ang mga pagsasanay at oryentasyon sa mga magulang upang maging epektibong katuwang sa pag-aaral ng kanilang mga anak. Sa anumang hamon o sitwasyon, handa ang DepEd. Handang kumilos, handang tumugon, at handang magserbisyo.
Ang dami ng mga pagsusubok at challenges ang naharap at napagtagumpayan ng ating Department of Education. Tuwing may pagsusubok, priority palagi natin ang ating learners at ang ating mga teachers sa tulong ng parents at saka partners at ang buong bansa. Ngayon, sa hinaharap natin itong new normal na sinasabi nila, matatag ang ating kagawaran, matatag ang DepEd, dahil pinagtibay na tayo ng panahon, kayang-kaya natin ito sa tulong ninyo.
Sabay na babangon, sama-samang ahon, ihanda ang sarili sa hamon. Ipagpipigil sa pagsulong sa kinabukasan ng katuon para sa di kalidad na edukasyon.
Balik-eskwela na naman, sa puso ang kahandaan. Handang isip, handa bukas, sa pagkakaisa ay may lakas.
Ito lang yung normal, online learning at modular. Di pa kailangan mag-face-to-face, gamit ng cellphone at radio-based. Yakapin na ang pagbabago, kahirapan, kaya natin to. Lakasan ng iyong luhok, sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo. Kristiyano katutuko, isang hanggarin saan patungo. Ipagpatuloy pag-aaral mo, tagumpay ay naghihintay sa'yo.
Balik-eskwela na naman, sa puso ang kahandaan. Handang isip, handa bukas, sa pagkakaisa ay may lakas.
Ito lang yung normal, online learning at modular. Di ba kailangan mag-face-to-face, gamit ng cellphone at radio-based. Yakapin na ang pagbabago, kahirapan, kaya natin to. Lakasan lang inyong buhok, sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo.
Alang natin ang ating kaligtasan sa bawat oras at panahon. Magpakailanman, angat palagi ng ating paaralan. Ang matuto, gayon din maging ligtas ang kabataan. Tayo ay magkaisa, halina't sama-sama, kasali lahat, kasama lahat, para sa lahat. Pilipinas, maghanda ka na, balik eskwela na, tara. Tayong lahat, sabay-sabay,
pagkakaisa ay may lakas. Ito na ang normal, online learning at modular. Iba Sabayan natin to, lakasan ng lingguhang sa bagong normal, sa bagong sa bagong normal, sa bagong sa bagong normal, sa bagong
De Luna,
Present!
Herrera,
Present!
Valera,
Present!
Handa ba tayo sa school year 2020?
Present!
Ngayong taon, ang edukasyon tuloy pa rin. Sa tulong ng DepEd, mga guro at mga magulang, ang Handang Isip, Handa Bukas. Tuloy-tuloy ang pag-aaral. May mga modules para sa iba't ibang antas. Sa government TV, maging sa radyo. Mahalagang ligtas ang ating mga estudyante at guro. Kaya kahit nasa bahay, tuloy ang edukasyon. Kung tulong-tulong, may paraan, may aralan.
Handang Isip, Handa Bukas.
Bisitahin ang DepEd Philippines sa Facebook at ang deped.gov.ph.
Sasamahan kita kahit isang eroplano ang agwat nating dalawa. Dahil kung nakakapagsalita lamang ang paliparan, ikukwento niya kung ilang beses akong lumingon pabalik sa iyo nung araw na ako'y lumisan. Papalubog ang araw noon at dahan-dahan lumulubog din ang puso ko sa kalungkutan. Ayaw sana kitang iwan. Gusto kitang samahan sa mga umagang nagmamadali ka papasok sa eskwela. Gusto kitang damayan sa mga gabing nahihirapan ka sa matematika. Gusto kitang yakapin sa tuwing gusto mo nang sumuko dahil akala mo'y wala kang talento sa pagpinta. Ngunit, anak, gusto kong ipaalam sa'yo na ikaw ang nagpinta ng buhay ko. Nang dumating ka, naging makulay ang mundo ko. Ang dating mga baluktot na linya ay naging tuwid. Ang dating madilim na larawan ay nabigyan ng liwanag. Kaya anak, gusto pa rin kitang samahan sa bawat mong karanasan, sa mga tagumpay at kabiguan. Sasamahan kita hanggang marating mo ang mga ulap, hanggang maabot mo ang iyong mga pangarap.
Hello, Ma?
Hello, anak. Sorry, kakatapos lang ng trabaho ni Mama.
Okay lang po, Ma. Kakatapos lang din naman po namin maglaro.
Mukhang nandun ka ulit sa paborito mong lugar, ah. O sige, ready ka na ba? Punta ka na sa DepEd Commons. Math tayo ngayon, ha? Saan na nga ulit tayo na ito kahapon? Sa problem solving na, di ba?
Anak, sasamahan kita. Kahit isang eroplano ang agwat nating dalawa.
Naranasan ko ng maiwan. Hindi ko na mabilang kung ilang beses akong nakiusap hanggang sa maubos ang pangungusap. Naisip ko na ring sumuko dahil sa sunod-sunod na bagyo. Parang walang katapusan itong kalbaryo. Saan nga ba ako patungo? Saan ba ang dulo nito? Sa paglalakbay, muntik na akong huminto. Pero sinalubong mo ko. Bumungad sa akin yung mga mata mong gustong matuto.
Ang mga kamay mong sapik sumulat. Ang mga labi mong nais bumigkas ng mga salitang nakakapawi ng pagod. Inatalo mo itong lungkot at takot. Binibigyan mo ng sagot ang mga katanungan sa aking puso.
Masampat, abi-abi, mga anak.
Masampat para abi-abi mo.
Na sa dami ng alinlangan ko't tanong sa mundo, ito ang nag-iisang sigurado. Mahal ko ang pagtuturo. Ito ang nagbibigay buhay sa aking pagkatao. At ang mga pangarap nila, ang aking ligaya. Minsan na rin akong naiwan. Kaya't sisikapin kong hindi mo ito maranasan.
Ako si Pambing Reba na babalita.
Anak, sabihin mo kung ano ang nilalaman ng puso mo.
Thank you, Tay!
Tay, naaalala mo ba nung niregaluhan mo ko ng mikropono? Ang sabi mo sa akin, susuportahan mo ko kahit anong gusto ko. Ang lagi mo pang bilin, anak, sundin mo kung anong nilalaman ng puso mo.
Ganda talaga.
Lagi mo ring pinapaalala na ako ang pinakamaganda. Mas maganda pa sa mga crush mong artista sa TV. Alam mo ba, Tay? Pinaniwalaan ko yun.
Ako, si Pam Villanueva, nagbabalita.
Hindi mo naman kasi sinabing mahilig ka sa mga palabas na comedy. Yan tuloy. Umasa ako masyado. Hindi ko inakalang iba pala ang pamantayan ng mundo. Hindi ko napaghandaan ang sakit ng mga salita mula sa tao. Ganun pa man, hindi ko kinalimutan ang bilin mo. Tay, ngayong araw, maglalakas loob ulit akong sundin ang laman ng puso ko. Ngayong araw, tutuparin ko ang pangarap nating dalawa. Handa na akong yakapin ang pagkakataong ito. Anuman ang sabihin ng iba.
Good morning, everyone. It's going to be a long and hard journey. There will be a lot of sweat and a lot of tears. I expect a lot from you. But in the end, when you become teacher broadcasters, it'll all be worth it. Are you ready?
Yes!
Your task at hand is to deliver your lines straight at the camera lens.
Greetings, bright minds. I hope you're having an amazing day. It's me, your English learning buddy.
Good job, DJ. Okay, next. Any volunteers? May nagtatago doon. Teacher Pam. Teacher Pam, I can see you.
Sa pagkakataong ito, babaliin ko ang pamantayan ng mundo.
Magandang wika at maalab na panitikan sa ating lahat, grade 10. Narito kayo ngayon sa classroom ni Miss Pam. Ang mamatanong na kahit sa camera laging umaanggulo, maniwala ka, sasamahan kitang mag-enjoy at matuto. Tatandaan, sa panitikang Filipino, abot kamay mo ang mundo.
Alright!
Haharap ako sa kamera upang magturo. Upang hindi lamang makulong ang mga aral sa 4 na sulok ng silid-aralan. Upang mas maraming bata ang makaalam na ang mga pangarap ay binuo upang matupad.
Okay, teachers, dito nagwawakas ang ating workshop, pero hindi ang inyong training. Bye-bye!
Haharap ako sa kamera upang magturo. Para mas maraming bata ang makaalam na kahit matagal ang proseso ng pangarap, ang mahalagay umuusad. Tay, naaalala mo ba nung niragaluhan mo ko ng mikropono? Hindi ko to nagamit kanina. Pero, nagamit ko lahat ng paalala mo. Hindi na rin pala ako naniniwalang kasing ganda ko ng mga crush mong artista. Pero, mapapanood mo na ako sa TV para sa mas malalim pang advokasya.
po ng Lunes, October 12, 2020. Welcome po sa ating Handang Isip, Handa Bukas Press Briefing. Sa ngalan po ni Public Affairs Service Director June Arvin C. Godoy, ako po si Rigo Tumaneng, ang magsisilbing moderator ngayong umaga. Isang linggo na po ang nakaraan mula ng formal na magbukas ang school year 2020-2021 at ngayong umaga, malalaman natin ang ilang updates tungkol sa unang linggo ng school year. Makakasama natin ang ina ng Kagawaran na si Secretary Leonor Magtolis Briones at sasamahan din ho tayo ni Undersecretary and Chief of Staff Nepomuceno Malaluan, Undersecretary for Finance Yusek Annalyn Sevilla, Undersecretary for Curriculum and Instruction Yusek Diosdado San Antonio. Binabati natin ang ating mga guro, mga learners at mga magulang na nakasubaybay ngayon sa DepEd Philippines Facebook page. Ganyan na rin po ang mga nakatutok sa ating mga cable partners tulad ng Tirad Pass Network sa Ilocos Sur, Planet Cable DWAT sa Ilocos Norte, CLTV 36 Facebook page sa Region 3, Romblan Cable sa Mimaropa, Kabangkalan Community Antenna Cable sa Region 6, Camiguin Island TV Network at Kalibo Cable TV Network. Bago natin bigyang daan ang mga presentation at mga katanungan ho ng ating media partners, pakinggan po muna natin si Undersecretary Annalyn Sevilla para sa kanyang opening statement. Good morning, ma'am.
Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Good morning, Rego. And get well soon, Director June. Sa ating mga partners sa media, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Sa ating kapamilya, sa DepEd, sa lahat ng mga nakikinig at nanonood ngayon. Sa aking pong mga kasama ngayon sa Executive Committee, Yusek Nepo, Yusek Dads. Marami pong nagmo-monitor sa atin, mga taga-regions, divisions, syempre sa mga eskwelahan. Pero I'm expecting everyone is busy because the first week of the opening of the school year calendar 2020-2021 has begun exactly a week ago. So 5 days na po na tayo ay nasa blended learning delivery mode at atin po ngayong alamin ang mga pinakahuling updates dito sa ating bagong delivery mode sa ating bagong school year. Makakasama po natin ang ating Secretary Leonor Magtolis Briones maya-maya at ang mga opisyal ng Kagawaran na magbibigay sa inyo ng mga bagong updates ay ang mga sumusunod. Yusek Dads San Antonio will give us updates on the learning resources updates at saka sa mga unang linggo na mga feedback at monitoring po na natanggap natin. Yusek Nepo Malaluan will also give us some updates about actual field monitoring na kanya pong ginawa. And yours truly will give you an update about, ito po, marami sa mga guro natin, empleyado nag-aabang sa ating pong application or implementation ng Bayanihan Law, Loan Amortization or Loan Moratorium. Ano po ang gagawin natin ngayong October and November para ma-apply ang Bayanihan Law. So tatlo po kami ngayon at we're waiting kung makaka-join po si Yusek Revsi for our field operation and Yusek Alain for our DepEd TV and online learning kasi po yung dalawa pong nating undersecretaries ay kasalukuyan din naglilibot, umiikot sa ating mga field right now. Just to remind everyone, last Saturday, October 10, 10-10, is the culmination of our National Teachers Day Month. So tapos na po ang ating pagdiriwang, pero syempre tuloy-tuloy ang ating pasasalamat sa mga guro. In fact, eksakto nagsimula ang ating school calendar the day na World Teachers Day, October 5. At kami rin po ay nagbibigay po kayo saludo sa kanila. Noong Sabado po ay nagkaroon ng National Teachers Month and World Teachers Day virtual celebration hosted by our Region 1. At kahit po ito ay Sabado at kahit po ito ay virtual, ay napaka-successful po ng ginawang celebration. At we thank Yusek Tony Umali, the head of the event, and Regional Director Tony sa Region 1. Last October 10 as well, marami pong mga coincidences na nangyari. It is also Happy World Mental Health Day. And we all know how the new normal in education or yung transition natin from face-to-face to this blended learning has also affected not only the learners, but as well as the guardians, the community as well. Kami po ay nakamonitor sa mga nangyayari, especially in social media. Marami, but we just have to remind everyone, pang-5 araw pa lang po yung Friday. 1 linggo pa lang po. So atin po dapat intindihin na everyone is in the adjustment and everyone is transitioning. Ako rin po, myself as well, because I still have a kid who is now in the online approach. So ito po, dalawang celebrations that we had, the National Teachers Month and the World Mental Health. For this day, atin po ngayong lingguhang Handang Isip, Handang Bukas, kami po nagpapasalamat una sa iyong pagdalo at pagputo. Pero mas marami po tayong dapat na gawin, umpisa pa lamang po ng ating monitoring. And we are here to always update you. So, let's hear from our undersecretaries who will update us. So, thank you very much, Rego. Over to you.
Maraming salamat po, Yusek Ann Sevilla. And yes, totoo nga, no, nung weekend, yun ang ating pinaka-culminating program ng Teachers Month celebration. And masasabi natin, hindi lang talaga nagtatapos ng weekend ang Teachers Day, no? Dahil all throughout the school year or all throughout the year talagang nagtatrabaho ang ating mga teachers. So andito naman po ang ating mga USEC ngayon para magbigay ng updates. Alam ko, hands-on ang ating mga undersecretaries starting October 5 mula nang nag-open tayo ng ating school year, tuloy-tuloy ang kanilang mga field visits. So ngayon po, sisimulan natin ang presentation or updates from our Undersecretary for Curriculum and Instruction, Yusek Diosdado San Antonio. Good morning, sir.
Magandang umaga, Rigo. Good morning din, Yusek Ann and Chief Nepo. Magandang umaga rin po sa ating mga media partners. Magandang umaga rin sa mga kasama sa Kagawaran ng Edukasyon at sa mga magulang, mga stakeholders na umaantabay at sumusuporta sa ating mga ginagawa sa Kagawaran ng Edukasyon. Ang update ko po ay essentially doon sa ating self-learning modules na ginamit sa unang linggo at hindi naman po kaila sa lahat na marami ang sinasabing nag-viral na mga sinasabing kamalian sa mga self-learning modules na pinalabas o ginagamit ng ating mga mag-aaral sa mga paaralan. Ang report po sa atin, ulat sa atin ni Director Lai Ariola as of 8 o'clock this morning, mayroon po kaming 35 mga screenshots na hindi ko na po i-share kasi alam nyo na to, 35 po ang na-monitor namin at sa 35 pong ito ay iba-iba yung klase ng error, minsan mali ang printing kasi dapat colored pala pero naibahagi na walang kulay yung pahina so hindi masasagot ng bata. Mayroon namang mali talaga yung option, mali ang salitang nagamit at may mga larawan din pong parang na-overstretch so hindi gaanong nauunawaan ng gumagamit yung mga kamalian. Bago ko po ibigay yung mga detalye tungkol sa mga maling ito, gusto ko rin kayong i-remind na yung pong ating self-learning modules na ginagamit sa ating mga paaralan ay iba-iba yung may gawa. Yung pong centrally quality assured, ibig sabihin po yung mga self-learning modules na sa central office na quality assured, na certified, na ayos, na tiningnan po ng ating conformance review team sa kanilang content, language, yung layout at lahat. Isang klase po ito na nagsisimula po ito sa mga development teams sa regional offices. Mayroon din silang sariling internal quality control mechanisms bago po nila sinusumiti sa atin. So pag na-receive po yan ng ating team dito sa curriculum and instruction strand ay nagkakaroon nga po ng review sa content, language at binabalik po sa development teams yung mga region po na na-assign sa subject na yan o sa grade ay ini-inform sila na may mga kailangang i-revise, tinitingnan yung compliance sa intellectual property rights, at yun nga po yung content at yung language. Tapos po, pag naayos na siya, ibabalik ulit sa atin para tingnan kung na-comply na yung mga initial comments. Pag na-comply na po siya, isi-certify na siya na pwede nang ayusin yung layout at lahat, at eventually isi-certify na ready to print. Pag na-certify na po siyang ready to print, sinishare na po natin sa ibang teams, lalo na po sa team ng strand ni Yusek Alain, para naman po ma-convert ito into TV lessons or radio lessons, at ano rin po in digital formats, at magagamit na po sa online mode at sa yung offline digital modular approach. So ganun po yung proseso sa central office. Pero dahil nga po hindi naman lahat ng modules sa learning areas ay naihanda natin, mayroon din po kaming agreement among ourselves dito sa pamilyang DepEd na ito na yung mga hindi naihanda ay dahil naghanda rin yung mga division offices at regions ng kanilang parang ano po ito, pang plan B, na pag hindi pa ready ay mayroon silang gagamitin, sila naman po ang gumamit. At sila naman ang nag-decide na ito yung ililimbang nila at ipapagamit sa mga bata. Yung mga CO SLMs ay parang ano na lang po ito, reference ng teacher para magkaroon sila ng idea kung magdi-design pa sila ng learning plans o ng activity sheet sa mga bata. Sangayon po sa aming report na nakuha, doon po sa 35 instances na may mali out of the, hindi ko po nabilang yung pages. Next week po, papabilang ko yung pages para magkaroon kayo ng idea kung ilang percent sa lahat ng, o ilang items sa ano natin, ilang pages sa ating modules ang may issue. Ngayon po, hindi ko pa nakuha yung datos na yon. Ay, doon po sa 35 na yon, ang kino-confirm namin na may mali na talagang dumaan po sa aming team na nag-conformance review ay isa. Ito po yung isang module na pinapahanap yung kulay pero walang kulay yung papel. So mali po yun, kaya ang gagawin po natin talaga sa lahat ng mali ay mag-i-issue ng errata at ipaparind natin sa mga kasamang guro na sa susunod na mga araw ay ipaliwanag sa mga bata na yung item na yon ay kailangang iayos o itama. At mayroon din po kaming na-monitor na dinesign ng mga field units. Huwag na po natin pag-usapan kung sinong gumawa. Ang sinasabi lang po natin, field offices, regions or division offices. Mayroon pong 18 instances na ito po ay ginamit sa limited areas lamang, hindi sa buong bansa. Ang ibig pong sabihin, pag dinisign nyo ito ng division office, sa isang division lang po ito, yung mga mag-aaral lang doon ang nakakita ng mga mali. At kung sa isang region naman po, ay region lang po yun. At mayroon po kaming 15 instances na hanggang ngayon hindi namin matukoy kung sino ang gumawa at kung saan ito. So nag-a-assume po kami na baka ito yung mga ginagamit naman sa private sector. So yun po ang aking ulat na sabi ko nga po, hindi ko nababanggitin kung saan mga lugar yung mga locally prepared self-learning modules na report sa social media at sa atin na may kamalian. Ang ginagawa po natin ngayon, tinutulungan tayo ng Public Affairs Service, ng tanggapan ni Yusek Alain. Nag-post na po sila ng mga link o contact numbers kung saan pwedeng direktang iparating ang mga nakikitang kamalian sa ating self-learning modules. Yung po tanggapan ko, hopefully within today, maglalunch po ako finally ng isang official Facebook page na DepEd Curriculum and Instruction Concerns and Issues para rin po maliban sa SLMs ay lahat ng gusto nating talakayin kung paano mas lalong mapapaigting ang pagpapatuto sa mga bata ay mapag-uusapan natin sa isang social media account na yan. Ang tagal ko na pong pangarap pero na hindi nabigyan ng panahon dahil sa dinami-dami ng mga ginagawa. So, ang isa pa pong measure natin at mamaya kung mag-join si Yusek Alain, pwede niya rin pong sabihin na sa TV nga po yung conformance review natin, yung quality assurance, nakikipag-negotiate na rin po ang tanggapan ni Yusek Alain sa mga partners. Kami rin po, mayroon ding mga kinakausap, nasa proseso rin po ng procurement ng mga experts na parang dagdag na mata at tainga at kamay upang pong ang review ng ating self-learning resources ay mas maging mahigpit. Kasi po, ngayon po ay ano lang po ito, among ourselves at parang overstretch na po talaga. Hindi naman po ako nagbibigay ng parang dahilan kung bakit nagkakamali pa rin. Pero totoo po talagang punong-puno ang ginagawa ang aming mga kasama, lalo-lalo na sa central office. At gusto ko rin pong magpaabot ng pasasalamat sa ibang mga tao na personally nag-PM sa akin o nag-message, nagbo-volunteer sila na maging taga-tingin din po ng errors sa ating mga self-learning modules. Yun lang po muna ang aking maipaparating sa inyo at alam ko, pwede na silang magbigay ng tanong sa akin, Rego, ikaw na bahala. But maraming salamat po ulit sa pagkakataon na ito at kaya po natin ito pag tayo yung nagtulungan.
Thank you very much po, Yusek Dads, for the updates po. And tama po, may mga katanungan po ang ating mga media partners. Siguro babasahin ko na lang po yung ilan at magtatawag po tayo ng iba sa kanila para magtanong. Ang sabi po ni Ms. Meg Adonis, choose daw po, Yusek.
Actually, tama yan si Adonis. Ako rin mismo, nung nag-monitor ako sa Bicol, isang impression din ng mga pamilya na napuntahan ko yung parang overwhelming yung pinapagawa sa mga bata. Hindi naman po natin sinisisi ang mga kasamang guro natin kasi ito talaga, manifestation ito ng eagerness ng mga kasamang guro natin na mabigyan ng sapat na paraan o ng oportunidad ang ating mga bata, ang ating mga mag-aaral na magpakita kung gaano nila nauunawaan at na gaano kalalim ang pagkakaunawa nila sa mga pinag-uusapan diyan sa self-learning module. So, tama po yan si Adonis, overwhelming. Kagabi po, may sarili akong pinsan na talagang nag-feedback, sabi, paano naman yan, 12 midnight na, gising pang anak ko at kailangan mag-submit, deadline yata ngayon. So, naunawaan po natin yan at magre-remind po tayo officially na kailangan, sabi ko dati at nung day 1 pa lang po, nagsabi na ako na kailangan yata ay mag-synchronize. Mayroon na po kami dating suggestions yung sa pag-homework ay hindi sabay-sabay na mayroon. So baka po ngayon yung mga activities na pinapagawa ay ganun din, tansyahin lang na hindi naman kailangang parang dapat yung gagawin ng bata for the day in a particular grade. Kasi usually po, 8 ang teacher dyan. So magbigay na lang yan ng isang tanong ay talagang o isang gagawin kung ano po siya ay talagang marami. So kailangan po yata i-remind ulit namin, i-reiterate namin yung dating policy namin. Ito tungkol sa homework na hindi naman lahat ng subject ay mayroong homework everyday. So baka rin po ito ay kailangan na hindi naman lahat ng subject ay may activity na kailangang tapusin bawat araw. Baka po in a week ay, yun na nga po, pag-uusapan ng team dyan sa schools kasi ang contextualization po ay sa mga paaralan ginagawa, sila na po mismo ang mag-agree kung ano yung reasonable. Kasi yun na nga po, ayaw naman natin na yung excitement ng mga bata na matuto ay ma-convert into parang burnout na masyadong mabilis pag sobra-sobra na. Kaya may mga superintendents din po akong na-monitor na nag-remind na kung ano lang yung kaya ng bata, yun lang muna ang isumite. Hindi naman po ito dapat panahon na super higpit tayo sa mga kung ano-ano ginagawa natin.
Alright. Thank you very much, sir. My same question po from ABS-CBN reporter Ms. Jasmine Romero and kay Ms. Ino Hernando of Manila Bulletin. Sabi po nila, due to problems in distance or blended learning, some parents are thinking of pulling out their children out of formal school because they are not confident that they will be able to guide their children. If it happens, it may lead to massive dropouts. How can this be addressed?
para kina Ina at Miss Ina and Miss Jasmine, yung concern about yung hindi masyadong nagtitiwala ang mga magulang na magiging mabisa ang distance learning na ating inihahain. Palagay ko naman dapat pag-isipang maigi ng mga magulang na yung option na completely i-deprive nila yung mga bata ng pagkakataon na tuloy-tuloy na mamulat sa mga tamang kaalaman at kasanayan ay baka mas malaking disadvantage yon. So yung pong issue na kakayahan ng magulang o ng mga nakatatandang kapatid na magbigay ng gabay ay mayroon pong pulisiya na maglalagay tayo ng learning support aids. So ang kailangan lang po ng mga magulang na ganyan yung sitwasyon ay magpabigay alam sa mga paaralan sa pamamagitan ng guro o ng principal para po mahanapan ng paraan na ito nga pong mga teacher volunteers or para teachers or ang official na tawag po namin ay learning support aids ay ma-deploy sa mga bata. Alam ko rin po na sa ibang mga areas, hindi ko alam kung saan ang feedback nakuha ni na Miss Jasmine at Miss Ina, doon po sa mga napuntahan pong medyo malayo ang mga clients nila, yung po mismo mga teachers nagpahayag na willing silang paminsan-minsan ay puntahan yung mga sitio ng mga lugar na kailangang mamonitor nila personally yung mga bata.
Thank you very much, sir. May follow-up question daw po from Miss Meg Adonis. Miss Meg, go ahead.
Hi, Yusek Dads. Good morning po. Thank you po for answering my question earlier. Follow-up lang po, you said na magkakaroon na lang po ng discussion or clarification with the schools with regard to the workload of our students. Does this mean na hindi na po masusundan yung schedule na nakalagay po sa module nila? Kasi according po sa mga magulang na nakausap ko, may schedule po na nakalagay sa modules. Hindi po ba madidisrupt ito kapag nagkaroon pa ng discussions or magkakaroon po ba ng permanent changes to these modules para po maiwasan ang burnout among students and parents? Thank you po.
Ang sinasabi natin, ang paraan dyan, kahit nandyan pa rin sa module, sasabihin itong mga tanong na ito o itong mga activities optional for now. Kaya sabi ko, mag-uusap sa mga paaralan kung paano mabibigyang guys sa ating self-learning modules. While ideally, yun talaga yung best way to develop the concepts. Pero nga, kung overwhelming yun, mabuti yung ibang nagdesisyon ng rotational use kasi instead na 8 subject ay 4 lang yung inaaral. Ang ano po talaga nito, yung karamihan po sa first quarter ay 1:1 yung ginagamit na self-learning modules. So talagang kung yung unang disenyo ay marami, ang isa pa po na para sa mga nakikinig na teacher, halimbawa po yung feedback sa akin, ito anecdote, baka katulad din ng mga nakausap mo, Miss Megs, ay kahit Sabado at Linggo nagtitext pa si teacher ng dagdag na gagawin, maliban po sa mga nakasulat doon. So yun po yata ang mga kailangang hindi gagawin, yung mga additional na pinapagawa na binibigay sa mga bata na hindi na sa panahon ng dapat sila ay nag-aaral pa kasi weekend naman sa Linggo at kung minsan late at night. Nasasabihin bukas kailangan na ito. I think mas ano po ito, mas ginagamit sa mga nasa online mode.
Okay po, thank you, Yusek.
Maraming salamat po, Miss Meg. And sir, may isa pa pong tanong from Philippine Star kay Sir Christian. Now has 24.8 million students enrolled for this year. But does the agency have remedial or bridge programs for children whose parents opted not to enroll them for this year? Ano daw po ang plano ng DepEd para sa mga learners po na ito?
Regs at Christian, usually nandiyan naman na yung alternative learning system natin na gusto rin nating paigtingin. So talaga pong naikasa na rin yan at hopefully po yung mga hindi pa na-capture kasi sabi mo nga may 10% pa yan halos sa public and private. Although kami sa public nabalik na ang enrollment pero syempre may nag-transfer so parang essentially may hindi talaga nakabalik. Tapos susubukin din talaga natin mabigyan sila ng pagkakataon na makahabol. Hopefully, yun na nga, through our alternative learning system. At sana naman, titingnan natin yung trend kung may mga magulang na nung nakita na hindi naman pala risky na nag-aaral ang anak nila kahit may COVID-19, ay baka mamomonitor natin in the coming weeks kung may mga bumabalik pa na nagpapalista. At sana yung matitira ay, ang mga strategy kasi, ang magandang ginagamit sa atin at ini-inspire kami ni Secretary Liling, napakaganda nung ang mga schools at division offices ay parang ini-empower natin to come up with their own interventions. Ang mahalaga lang naman talaga ay ang reminder sa amin lahat ni Secretary Liling na siguruhin na ang bawat kabataang Pilipino na gustong matuto ay mabigyan ng maayos na edukasyon. At so yung mga detalye ng mga estratehiya, inaasahan natin yung mga napaka-capable natin at creative na mga school officials at mga kasamang guro ay sila mismo ang magdidisenyo ng mga interventions, remedial activities para ang mga hindi nagpalista ay mabigyan din ng oportunidad habang sinisikap natin na yung mga nagpa-enroll sa formal system ay maiangat din yung kalidad ng edukasyon kanilang niraranas.
Thank you very much, sir. May Miss Ina Hernando is raising her hand. May question po yata si Miss Ina. Good morning, Miss Ina.
Good morning, Rego. Good morning to Isip Dads. Tanong ko lang po if there will be an assessment on the learning delivery modalities because so far, ang pinakamarami ko pong nakukuhang feedback is on the printed modules. Yung mga parents, they say na they feel left out because yung printed module, unlike in the online distance learning, merong face-to-face interaction, they feel left out na porket printed modules sila, hindi na sila nabibigyan ng mas maraming attention when in terms of explaining yung mga kailangan and other updates.
Actually, kasama yan sa ating gagawin at hindi kami mag-aantay ng pagtatapos ng pasukang 2020, 2021. Mayroon talaga tayong constant monitoring at research pa ng mga hamon, ng mga challenges, best practices, at mga interventions na ginagawa ng kami sa loob mismo ng DepEd ay yung communication channels naman namin ay bukas na bukas. Galing sa taas pababa, galing sa baba pataas. Ang dami sa amin dito na mga well-grounded kahit ako, Facebook lang ang social media account ko pero nakakakuha rin ako ng mga feedback at nagiging parang inspirasyon ng mga ideya kung paano aayusin yung pag-deliver natin ng distance learning. Iba-ibang modality pa ito. Thank you, Miss Ina.
Thank you very much, sir. Before we proceed siguro sa susunod na presenter, may we recognize Bons Magsambal or Rappler. Good morning, Bons.
Good morning. Good morning po.
May follow-up question lang ako when it comes to learning support aids. Kasi yung on the ground po, mostly yung problem talaga ng mga magulang, ng mga estudyante, is walang parents or walang available to guide their learning at home. So I'm just wondering, alam ko po kasi na yung learning support aids, hindi siya centralized, like hindi DepEd Central Office yung mag-hire. It will depend on the capability of the schools. Tama po ba? So I'm just wondering po, do we have updates po on which schools na yung nag-report or na-monitor nyo na nag-express ng interest ng hiring learning support aids?
Bonds, I Yusek Jess ang sasagot niyan kasi siya ang Thank you, Yusek Jess.
Thank you, Yusek Dads. Umalis lang muna ako doon sa Senate hearing. Thank you, Bonds, sa tanong mo, no? As of now, ang nabalitaan lang namin ay yung sa Taguig, pati basically sa NCR. Tama ka doon, yung hiring kasi, nandoon yan sa level ng schools and division office. Kasi hindi natin alam kung ano yung pangangailangan nila. Iba-iba kasi yung pangangailangan nila eh. Kaya nga po yung ating polisiya tungkol po doon na kung hindi ako nagkakamali, pipirmahan na ni Secretary kasi meron lang tinignan ng ating legal. No? In any case, yung requirement natin doon ay para matugunan yung kung ano man yung pangangailangan ng ating mga paaralan. Kasi, halimbawa, just to cite a specific example, no? Oo nga, meron nga magulang na meron namang pinag-aralan. Ang problema, hindi sila makapagturo dahil nga may trabaho. So baka mangailangan sila, in-anticipate rin natin yon. But definitely, in-anticipate rin natin yung mga magulang na hindi nakatapos, no? At mahihirapan, tapos madami pang anak, yan po yung isang mga in-anticipate natin na kakailanganin ng ating mga paaralan po. Salamat, Bonds. Salamat.
Just a follow-up. I'm just curious po. For example, so Taguig and Manila, capable sila to hire learning support aids because mataas yung MOOE or SEF. Pero paano naman po yung, for example, yung mga as in, mga LGU na not capable at all kasi hindi malaki yung schools MOOE nila. At the same time, yung SEF nila is wala talaga pero kailangan nila na mag-hire ng learning support aids.
Alam mo, magandang tanong yan, Bonds, pero kasi ang problema natin, itong learner support aid ay hindi naman talaga naka-budget doon sa ating 2020 nung pinopost natin. Kaya nag-realign tayo at tinignan natin dito kung ano man yung mga posibleng mga resources natin na pwede gamitin. Ang isa nga nakita natin, yung ating school MOE, kung hindi pa yan sufisyente, yung ating special education fund o kaya naman yung general fund ng local government units. Pwede na rin naman po na makipag-usap sa level ng division yung ating mga partners, no, at the ground level. Kasi ang iniingatan po natin dito, makikita nyo yan sa ating pulisiya, na kung pwede sana yung mga i-hire nilang LSA ay taga doon na. Dahil nga ina-avoid natin yung spread ng COVID, no? Pangalawa, i-account rin natin kasi yung presence ng mga sasakyan. Alam mo naman pag may mga categories, no? Pati yung ating transportation na medyo challenge rin eh. Salamat, Bonds.
Okay po. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Magsambol of Rappler and good morning po kay Yusek Jess at kasama na rin ho natin ang ina ng Kagawaran ngayon, andito na ho sa atin si Secretary Leonor Magtolis Briones. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, magandang umaga sa lahat. Welcome to our weekly press con.
Maraming salamat po. Makakasama po natin si Secretary hanggang sa end po ng ating press conference. Ngayon,
Yes.
ang susunod po na magpe-present or magbibigay ho ng update ay si Undersecretary and Chief of Staff, Attorney Nepomuceno Madaluan. Good morning, sir.
So yung iba naka-present na?
Secretary, the last one that presented was Yusek Dad San Antonio, and his update focused on some of the errors that were seen, and he mentioned that there is one that they have seen from central office, the others are from some locally developed learning resources, and others are from unknown unknown origin. So I think they will continue to look into this matter on errors on the self-learning modules, and there were also questions that were asked to USEC dads. So that is the portion that has ended, Secretary. My presentation, and I'd like to, unless the Secretary would like to make a statement first.
Thank you, Yusek Nepo. I will make my comments after your presentation, and I will stay for the forum, the rest of the forum, after which I will go to Malacanang for the cabinet meeting.
Thank you, ma'am. May I request AJ to show my slides? I will just, I just want to provide some further information on the photo that went viral in Santo Niño National High School in Batangas City, that came out as a story and carried by a number of media outfits on October 5. And if you recall, I was at the division office of Batangas City on October 5, jointly monitoring the school opening together with the division superintendent, and I was also joined by the assistant regional director of Region 4A, ARD Ruth Fuentes. And as I reported in the during our school opening activities in the morning, that we have not monitored anything of serious concern in the division of Batangas City. However, in the afternoon and early evening, these photos from the Santo Niño National High School came out and was widely shared by netizens. And so because I was still in Batangas City, I sought for a initial feedback on this, but there were conflicting stories, so I thought that it will be best if I go to the school myself the following morning, and I would like to share some of the things that we have seen and found out in relation to the story that came out. Next slide, please. AJ, can you go to the next slide? So on October 5, 2020, the school opening day, various media outlets carried photos of teachers of the Santo Niño National High School in Batangas City on the school's roof. And one post by Rappler states that it is to get better internet connection and monitor their students during the opening of classes. And the photos and the captions were shared by netizens across social media platforms. So, for example, what is stated here is, look, teachers of Santo Niño High School in Batangas City show to media how they try to send their requirements for learning delivery modalities in their school's roof to get better internet connection and monitor their students during the opening of classes on October 5, 2020. And as I mentioned, there are a number of media outfits that carried this. Next slide, please. Next slide, AJ. So while waiting for the slides, this was also carried by Philippine Star, for example, with the caption, Teachers of Santo Niño National High School in Batangas City on Monday go to their school roof to send the requirements for learning delivery modalities due to poor internet connection while enduring the heat of the sun. And that photo message was shared by generated 15,000 comments and 30,000 shares, as seen in the screen cap, and it was also shared with its sister outfit, One News. Next slide. This is also by Daily Tribune. Teachers from Santo Niño High School in Batangas City have to climb on the school's rooftop to get mobile signal to monitor their students' activities during the school year opening on Monday, 5 October, with photos by Bob Dungo Jr. Manila Bulletin also carried the same set of pictures. Look, teachers of Santo Niño National High School in Batangas City show how they try to send their requirements for learning delivery modalities through their school's roof to get stronger signal connection on International Teachers Day. Next slide. ABS-CBN probably had a distinct story, noting that teachers climbed on the school roof to dramatize their call for better mobile data connection. But it also adds that as they monitor their students' activities during the school year opening on October 5, 2020. And GMA's breaking news on also stating there that they have climbed the roof to connect to internet so that they can continue on with their tasks. Sa mga mag-aaral ngayong balik eskwela, and this has links to the online, but if we look at it now, we cannot anymore find the page. Next slide. So it was carried by 24 Oras as a TV news story. Next slide. And just to summarize what are stated in the 24 Oras, masukal lang daan, malubak, makipot, matalahib sa paligid, ang mas but that's not their bigger concern. Their bigger concern ay ang painot-inot na internet connection sa paaralan. Ang mga guro kanya-kanyang dala ng modem para makasagap ng kakarampot na signal pero kadalasan no network coverage. The principal there is a short clip of the principal stating that the area ay nasa boundary na para sa signal. But the reporter continued, kaya naman ang mga guro, imbes na nasa classroom, abay nasa bubong ng eskwelahan na mamalagi para humanap ng signal. And but they did refer back to a social media picture habang kumukuha ng learning delivery modality online training para sa mga guro. There was a clip also from the SDS noting that there is allocation for amplification of internet connectivity. I think it's division-wide. And concluding, in the 24 oras, pagmamahal sa estudyante ang nagbubunsod sa mga guro para makipagsapalaran sa bubong. So if we are to look into the representations of this story, next slide, it would appear that going to the roof is a regular occurrence in the school to get internet signal. It was being done for learning delivery at the opening of classes. ABS, though, has a distinct angle, which is it was done to dramatize their call for better mobile data connection. But it was also stated that it is as they monitor their students' activities during their school year. GMA 7, 24 Oras mentioned the original picture for teacher training, but also showed teachers climbing the roof as implying it's a regular occurrence. And the reactions of citizens, next slide, if you would review the comments, they were initially sympathetic to the teachers and critical of DepEd. But later on, there were also posts questioning the photos as a photo op, that it is a OA or probably a slang for overacting. And some pointed out that there were some pictures that showed a modem Wi-Fi routers on the roof with the photos. And probably the ones that are less directed at the teachers and DepEd were from the ABS-CBN that were more directed at the telcos and connectivity issues. Now, it also generated other reactions such as from, next slide, from, let's say, Anakbayan Moraita, stating that sa ilalim ng tirik na araw ay umakyat sa bubong ng mga gusali ang mga guro upang makakuha ng malakas na internet connection para ma-monitor ang mga mag-aaral sa pagbubukas ng klase, and then DepEd, pabaya, palpak, pahirap. And LFS Batangas, for example, mga guro sa Santo Niño National High School sa Batangas City, maakyat sa bubong para mag-connect, para may pagpatuloy ang pagganap ng kanilang tungkulin. And mariing kinondina, it's a thread, ng eskwela. About a little over 8% higher than the existing 62,000, than the prior year 62,122 enrollment. These 65,000 learners have been organized into some 2,447 classes across grade levels and across the schools. Next slide. So that's just a broader context of the Batangas City Division Office. The LGU support as reported by the SDO Batangas. This is from the Special Education Fund as approved by the local school board. They have allotted 3.7 million for digital duplicators. They were able to mobilize from a private partner, Smart Philippines, 25,000 smart SIM cards with load. They have allocated 307.9 million for 25,000 tablets for all the junior and senior high school students. And as I monitor now, these are being distributed this week to the high school students. So Santo Niño students will be among the beneficiaries of this from this junior high school. They've also allocated laptops, 2,300 for all teachers, allocated 80 million, 80.5 million for school internet connectivity boosting, 4.4 million, and for school supplies for elementary pupils, 10 million, for a total of SEF allocation of about 406.7 million. Now, how did this story, next slide, how did this story come to be? Because one of the things that I ask is, did they have a press conference? Because it is quite out of the ordinary that a certain school will have a would be carried by all by a number of national media outfits on the same day, and so that's one of that I checked. As it turns out, this originated from a Facebook post by one of the teachers who is the LAC leader, or the local the learning action cells for the teachers, and this was in connection with their professional development training that is overseen by NAYAP on learning delivery modalities. And he posted it, and the context of that posting is, I will go to that later, and the first, prior to that, can you go back to the slide? And one of the teachers, because they were tagged in the Facebooks and some of them have contact info, received a text message from GMA 7 noting that they saw the post about the teachers on the roof para makahanap ng signal, at interesado sila na malaman ng kwento sa likod ng larawang ito. Okay lang po ba na matawagan kayo o ang may-ari ng mga pictures para masabi po ang aming intensyon kahit bukas ng umaga, and so on. It came a few days before the school opening, and after they were requesting coverage, and the representation was that it was going to be used as a inspiring stories, and so they made the arrangement for a shoot in the school. No, not much details first, and then there was a back and forth on the date. Originally, it was to be on the weekend, and then finally they said that they will go there on October 5. And they arrived in the morning. Next slide. The GMA 7 team with a reporter, and subsequently there were a number of media groups that came, but they were not originally part of the arrangement, but just said that they will be following, and contacted one of the teachers whom GMA 7 was talking to. One of the characterization in the 24 Oras story is that when you go there, masukal ang daan, malubak, makipot, matalahib sa paligid. If you will look at where this school is, it is about 8 kilometers, or some estimated 26 minutes away from the SM City, Batangas. So it is a suburb near rural probably, but it is still very close to the city center. And so this is the way there. But if you will look at this, the other road is among the traditional industrial zone of old industrial zone of Batangas City. It's near the areas of Pilipina Shell Refinery, San Miguel, Pure Foods, and so on. So it is that's the coastal area, but instead of going straight to this industrial sites, you turn left, and so you go to this several barangays. It's San Isidro, Mahabang Dahilig, and then Santo Niño. If you will look at there, of course, there are areas that is uninhabited, and that is probably the ones that are masukal ang daan, but that's just a certain patches. But if you go there, it's you can see there is a subdivision in San Isidro, the Robinsons Residential Village. You can see some of the houses. Uh, uh, After Mahabang Dahilig, the road does narrow, but it is a short stretch to Santo Niño. This is the welcome sign in the barangay Santo Niño. And these are the houses in the Santo Niño proper, the last picture. Next slide. Now, one other fact that we can see is that not all media outfits that carried the story appear to have been on the site for the report. So as you can see here, there was an earlier team by GMA coming over. That's the reporter Bernadette Reyes and cameraman Boyd Piad and Nitoy Navoa at 6:50 a.m. But at some point, they received a call that there is another set of media or reporters coming over, and these are the ones that arrived at about lunchtime, 11:45 by their logbook. So that's from Philstar, Manila Times, Manila Standard, Manila Bulletin, and GMA News Online. And so that's Ed Gumba, Mike, I can't read this, Johnson Romero, Danny Pata. The other ones I cannot read. So these are all, I checked with them, and these are all that came. And based on the teachers and the principal, it was also only GMA 7 that conducted an interview with the principal and the teachers. They were asked to do in the first place by GMA 7 for, in fact, a reenactment of the what was posted in the in Facebook originally, and it was stated as such a reenactment of that. When the next batch came, and but there were no interviews made. Even when they asked, I think what was stated is that okay na yung sa GMA 7. So I don't know what context came into the second reenactment, because only GMA 7 conducted an interview with the principal. Next slide. Other facts that I've seen are, yes, there are signal issues, since, as the principal noted, the area appears to be at the boundary of network coverage. However, this signal is weak mainly for Smart, but Globe has stronger signal. In fact, the school has 2 Wi-Fi routers for Globe. The representation that going to the roof is a regular occurrence is not true. And this is a representation by those that carried the media reports. This was not at all by the teachers and the principal that they have to do this as a regular occurrence. They were all just referring to that one incident sometime in September. So the original picture happened only once, and Globe happened to be down at that time, and the teacher used his personal smart modem instead to turn in. Sorry for the typo. They needed that to turn in their learning task for the professional development training in Google Classroom. And as I mentioned, that's in relation to a training on learning delivery modalities. Next slide. So the photo on October 5 was actually a reenactment, and the understanding of the school was that it will be used for the story or content within which it occurred originally. It is not true that it happened in the context of learning delivery to students at school opening, which is what the captions of most of the stories, except for ABS-CBN, although there's still reference to it at the school opening. The schools is actually on modular learning modality. They have already organized their 852 junior high school students population into this is not sections. They have conducted orientation of parents and barangay officials in early September and organized the distribution of learning resources through what they call our key parents and barangay officials organized per sitio. And the distribution of the initial modules were done as early as September 18. And the teachers have communication mechanisms with their respective classes. So they vary. Some have a group chat and other communication mechanisms. Next slide. So this is, they sent me paglilinaw sa issue ng Santo Niño National High School internet connection. So nais nilang ipabatid sa publiko na ang Santo Niño National High School ay binibigyan nila ng linaw ang pangyayari sa likod ng mga issue na lumabas sa iba't ibang social media platforms at news agencies. Ito ay taliwas sa naunang naibalita na kumaalat noong October 5, 2020 na nabigyan ng ibang anggulo at interpretasyon ng ilang media practitioners na nagdulot ng maling impormasyon. Lumabas sa balita at mga larawan na umakyat sa bubungan ang ilang guro ng paaralan para sa monitoring ng pagbubukas ng klase. Ito ay reenactment ng tunay na naganap noong September 24 habang tinatapos ang isang online requirement ng mga guro bilang paghahanda sa nasabing pagbubukas ng klase. And I mentioned the circumstances that happened during that day. Next slide. So our conclusions. The stories did not faithfully represent the facts and events. The reenactment was not disclosed as such and was related to the school opening and learning delivery to the students and not the context in which it happened. The story that was widely shared in social media resulted in unwarranted perceptions and conclusions about DepEd, the school, and even its teachers. And we just want to conclude that we have expectations of and requests for truthful and accurate reporting by the media, especially in this time of pandemic, to be fair to all concerned. So that ends my sharing of our validation of those pictures and the story that came out. In fact, if you will visit the post, because of this event, the teacher has already put that picture on private mode, but you can see still there a post about that learning delivery, that professional development that was happening on those dates, and that he actually is looking at a big monitor and obviously doing an online session for the training and development. So we're just stating that for the record to share our validation of these stories. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Undersecretary Nepomuceno Malaluan. Kung sino po yung mga may additional question for USEC Nepo, Miss Ina of Manila Bulletin, or hindi lang po yata nagbaba itong yung si Miss Ina kanina and Bonds. Miss Ina.
Sorry, hindi ko lang nababa pala yung kamay.
Alright, thank you. Alright, thank you. Thank you po. So wala pong question muna for USEC Nepo sa ating mga media partners. Okay, maybe we can park questions for Yusek Nepo. Let's hear from Yusek Annalyn Sevilla for her updates. Good morning, ma'am. Nakamute po yata kayo, ma'am.
Hello? Hello?
Yes po. Clear na po, ma'am. Good morning po.
Yusekan, you have no audio.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, you have audio now.
Mukhang merong hindi ko ginagalaw at di kamay ko. Wala akong ginagalaw. So nawawala lang yung audio. Take 3. Good morning everyone. Good morning Secretary Leling. Good morning sa ating mga media partners, sa ating DepEd family. My financial update for today is actually dedicated to our employees. So I will ask the indulgence of our media partners to really just take some time to technically digest also some of this. But this is very important for our employees dahil over the weekend, we issued a guideline on how we will implement the loan moratorium under Bayanihan Law 2. So please proceed, Justine. Very important ito sa kanila kasi marami pong nagtatanong kung paano natin i-implement ang ating Bayanihan Law 2. And this is actually the letter UU of the Bayanihan Law, and it states that all PLI, GFI, PLI is private lending institution, GFI is government financial institutions. They are mandated to give 60-day grace period for the payment of loans anytime from the date the law was approved until end of the year, December 2020. And the law also provides that accrued interest may be charged by the PLI during the implementation of the said 60-day period. So this press conference discussion is actually dedicated to accrued interest. Dahil yun po ang kailangan maintindihan. And I hope kahit wala po kayong utang dito na nakapasok sa payroll ng DepEd ay magkaroon din kayo ng understanding. Like for example, ako may credit card. So how will it apply? Okay? Pero ito po, ang aking slide at ang aming guidelines ay sumasakop lamang sa mga loans na naka-accredit po sa aming payroll. Ang ibig sabihin noon, pag sumweldo ang isang empleyado, automatic dinededuct po yung kanilang mga payments para po accommodation sa kanila. Kasi mga teachers, empleyado, isang tulong po natin na para hindi na po sila lalabas ng eskwela o ng opisina ay amin na pong idededuct. Kaya ang tawag po dyan ay automatic payroll deduction system. Pero kung hindi po yan naka-enroll, naka-accredit o naka-schedule sa aming payroll, ay wala po kami doon. Kanya-kanya po sila ng bayad. Okay? So nung pong na-approve ang ating Bayanihan Law 2, immediately ang ating pong Kagawaran ay nakipag-coordinate sa Department of Finance, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, sa GSIS, sa Pag-ibig, sa DepEd Provident Fund, sa Land Bank of the Philippines, at iba pong mga PLIs or Private Lending Institution. And dito po, bakit namin ito kailangan gawin? Mamaya, papakita ko sa inyo yung coverage, ganong kalawak, ilang tao ba ang pinag-uusapan natin dito, at magkano ang amount na involved dito sa isang provision ng Bayanihan Law 2. Sige, go ahead. Next slide, Justine. Yung pangatlo po ay sinasabi natin ay dahil meron kaming APDS, Automatic Payroll Deduction System, kailangan ay uniform ang application natin dito. Hindi po pwede po na papipiliin namin ang mga tao kung sila ba ay mag-a-avail o hindi ng mga provision ng Bayanihan Law 2. Kaya po tayo nakipag-meeting sa lahat ng ating mga PLI sa GFIs because we will only apply one policy. Otherwise, baka tapos na po yung taon, tapos na effectivity ng Bayanihan Law 2, ay hindi pa rin po namin ito ma-apply dahil nag-iintay pa tayo ng mga response from the employees. So that's very clear. Pag accredited po sa aming APDS, kailangan po silang sumunod kung ano po yung mapagkakasunduan ng majority ng ating mga accredited PLIs and GFIs. So, ang ginawa po natin ay yung ano ang best term possible para sa ating mga empleyado. We negotiated for the best term possible. The Secretary has written all of our GFIs and PLIs, strongly urging them to go beyond the 60-day grace period. Hindi lamang yung 60-day na palugit or 60 days hindi kayo magbabayad at after 60 days pwede na ho kayo ulit magbayad. Yun po ang bigay ng batas. Pero Secretary Ling asked for more. She asked for the PLIs and GFIs to waive the accrued interest as a help to all our employees. Kaya po kami ay nag-intay at nagkaroon ng about 3 weeks na pag-iintay para po dito sa negotiation na ito. Okay, next. On October 9, that's the last consultation and PLIs and the DepEd Provident Fund na magwe-waive ng accrued interest. Talking about item number 5. So, meron pong 89 na PLIs na nagbigay ng goodwill at sila po ay sumagot kay Secretary Leonor Briones na hindi po maniningil ng any fees or charges, even the accrued interest, kahit po yun ay nakalagay sa bayanihan law. Okay? And nung pong Friday ay na-issue na po ang memorandum kung paano po ito ma-approve. Yesterday, Sunday, nagtatrabaho si Secretary Ling. She signed the advisory to all PLIs and GFIs and even the very simple certificate of appreciation to all our 89 GFIs and PLIs who have waived the accrued interest. So ito po ay akin lang 3 slides ipapakita. The next slide. This slide will be very useful for our PLIs, GFIs, and our borrowers or employees. Yung po nakalagay doon yung mga guidelines. Pero ginawa na lang po namin drawing para po pati sa media madali pong maiayos. Now, kanina sabi namin, bakit hindi tayo po pwede mag-intay ng sagot ng mga empleyado kung sino gusto mag-avail? It is because out of the 933,697 warm bodies as of August 2020 ng DepEd, ito po ang nakalagay sa payroll namin ngayon, 70% have loans scheduled under our payroll system. And that is exactly 655,582 distinct count of borrowers in the payroll. So ganyan pong karami ang ating pong aasikasuhin na empleyado para po hindi sila bawasan ng loan payables or any other payables nila for the month of October and November para sa mga PLIs at November and December para naman sa GSIS. Okay? Next slide. Magkano po ba ang pinag-uusapan din natin dito? As of June 2020, and that is 153.2 billion outstanding loans only for the PLIs and GFIs. Others po ang tawag natin dyan. But for GSIS alone, as of October 5, we have an outstanding loan of 223 billion. So kung ito total nyo po yan, that's about 370 billion of outstanding loan only for DepEd. Next. And the average is actually 9 billion every month na amin pong nire-remit as loan payments ng ating mga empleyado. Okay, go ahead, Justine, for the next slide. In the next slide, we will see kung ilan po ang GFI or PLI na nasa ating sistema ngayon. This is 173. 173 na mga loan institution, including the government financial institution. GSIS is the biggest, as you can see in the previous slide. And ito po ang naging response nila sa strong letter ni Secretary Ling na magbigay ng waiver to the interest. 89 said yes, we will not impose any additional charges. 30 said we will collect the accrued interest. And I will explain, no? Kasi mag-thank you rin po tayo dito sa 30 na to. Kasi they will also implement the Bayanihan Law, but there will be an accrued interest after the 60-day grace period. May listahan na rin po kami kung sino-sino itong mga 89 na ito, sino-sino itong 30 na ito. And now we are waiting for the response of 50 PLIs na hindi pa rin po sumasagot kung sila ay mag-waive ng kanilang accrued interest. So that is the total portfolio of our lending institutions. Okay, go ahead. Ito po, illustration na kami. We will illustrate kung paano may implement ang Bayanihan Law. Sabi sa Bayanihan Law, starting the effectivity of Bayanihan is September 15, I think, I'm not sure, but mid-September, until December 31, one-time 60-day period dapat po huminto ang pagbayad. So ang example po namin dito, 10,000 ang iyong utang, payable in 10 months, so ang principal mo ay 1,000. Halimbawa lang to, yung interest, illustrative example lang po ito, pero ang interest ay iba-iba, depende sa inyong loan contract. Halimbawa ang interest ay 100, therefore 1,100 sa 10 buwan ang dapat na babayaran ng borrower at yan po yung binabawas namin sa sweldo nila kasi naka-accredit po sila sa kanila. Borrower mismo ang nagsabi na please deduct this automatically in my salary. And that is what we're doing. Now, because of the Bayanihan Law 2, in our example, month 9 and 10, which is October and November, amounting to 1,100 each, hindi po namin yan ibabawas sa sweldo. Kung hindi mapupunta sa empleyado, ang 2,200 dahil may pahinga siya ng pagbabayad. That is the Bayanihan Law 2. That is the 60-day grace period. Yes. And that is actually what is in the law. And hindi po magkakaroon ng accrued interest kapag binalik mo yung 2,200 on or before December 31, 2020. Therefore, meron na pong pahinga. Kumbaga, ang ating mga empleyado, and I think hindi lang po ito sa gobyerno, lahat din po tayo, kahit private citizens, because of the Bayanihan Law, will have a 60-day rest or grace period. But after 60 days, hindi nyo po binalik yung dapat yung hulugan, ay pwede po, may, ang nakalagay sa batas, may charge accrued interest. Okay, the accrued interest ay ibig sabihin po no, sa 1,000 na hindi na-kolekta sa inyo, yun yung principal ng inyong pinag-utangan, ay magkakaroon po siya ng accrued interest. Yun po yung example namin dito, ang accrued interest ay yung interest lamang na 100 times 2 months na hindi ka siningil, 220 pesos. Okay? So ito po yung batas. This is the basic. And ito po ay pwede nang gawin namin doon sa mga hindi nag-response. Yung 50 na hindi nag-response, ito po ang aming gagawin. Lahat ng empleyado under DepEd ay hindi po namin babawasan ng inyong loan payments for October and November. At para sa GSIS ay November and December. Ano po yung naging resulta ng negotiation ni Secretary Leonor? Next slide. Isa pong paraan din ay, sabi rin ito ng batas, may example tayo, pareho rin din, di ba sa month 9 and month 10, hindi ka magbabayad, yan yung 60-day grace period. Pero napag-isipan mo, na kailangan mo pala yung 2,200 na hindi binawas sa'yo. Kung pwede kang pumili, you have the choice. Sasabihin mo, extend mo na lang ng 2 buwan. Yun yung loan moratorium. Kaya meron po tayo diyang plus 11 and plus 12. So your original 10-month loan will now become 12 months because of the Bayanihan Law. However, you will have an accrual. That's the 220 pesos accrual. Ay, 200 pesos interest. Yan, 200 pesos. Bayaran mo lang yung accrual na 200 pesos on or before December 31 at walang madadagdag sa iyong pagkakautang ng 1,100 kada buwan. Original po yan, bubuhatin lang natin from month 9 and 10 to 11 and 12. But you have to pay the accrued interest. Yan po rin yung nasa batas. So 30 PLIs, that is attachment B of our guidelines. Kung ang inyo pong PLI o pinagkakautangan nyo ay nasa listahan na letter B, sila po yung 30, ito po ang kanilang i-implement. Kung ayaw nyo pong magkaroon ng charge na 200 pesos, ibalik nyo lang po yung 2,200 at ipagpaalam po sa DepEd para balik po kayo sa drawing number 1 at wala po kayong babayaran na interest. Now, slide number 3, ito po yung naging resulta ng negotiation natin with 89 PLIs. Okay, next slide. So dito po, sa 89, may listahan po tayo, ipapakita ko rin mamaya kasi tayo magpapasalamat sa kanila. Meron na silang 60-day grace period, hindi kasi singilin ng month 9 and 10, yan yung naka-encircle, kasi they will implement the grace period. Justine, thank you. And then, meron kang loan moratorium, i-extend ka ng month 11 and 12. So that's the loan moratorium. And these 89 PLIs will not charge any accrual. So the 200 pesos that you're supposed to give back ay hindi nila sisingilin. Regalo na po nila yan para sa ating mga empleyado. So, tuloy-tuloy po, kung ano ang iyong utang na hindi nabayaran nung month 9 and 10, ay ililipat lang po natin sa month 11 and 12. And that's the reason why in the next slide, kami po ay nagpapasalamat sa 89 PLIs and GFIs na nagbigay po ng loan moratorium na arrangement na wala pong interest charges. So simula po rito, hindi ko na sila mababasa pero nasa slide naman yan, and I would like to also have our media partners understand na ito po ay maliliit din no, na mga PLIs pero they really understood the welfare of our teachers and our employees. Sige, 4 na slides po yan na listahan kasi 89. Okay? So we thank them on behalf of the Secretary. Alam po natin na meron din po itong economic impact. And we do understand that 30 PLIs na hindi rin po nagbigay ng waiver because they also have investment and loan portfolio to manage. They have employees to also pay salaries to. And they also have other creditors aside from DepEd. Ang nakita po natin dito ay usually itong 89 na ito talagang puro mga DepEd po ang kanila mga kliyente. Kaya talagang nagbigay po sila ng waiver. And the other 30s are actually commercial banks. And there is an impact kapag po nagbigay sila sa amin. Siyempre, magtatanong din iba nilang creditors, bakit hindi sila mag-waive ng accrued interest sa iba. So I hope all will understand. The lesson here is choose where you are borrowing so that you would also know the arrangement and the terms. Okay, next. And then, lang po namin token of appreciation ng DepEd, and we gave the certificate signed by the Secretary yesterday, Sunday, to GSIS, the Government Service Insurance System, for the gift of the waiver of the accrued interest. Manila Teacher Savings Loans Association, nagkuha lang po kami ng example no, sa bawat category ng ating mga PLI. Kanina government, ito po ay association ng mga guru talaga. Salamat. Pangatlo ay ang mismong DepEd Provident Fund. Yan po ay talagang DepEd family, kaya syempre we have to also give them the best term for our employees. And last is an example of an insurance company or a cooperative. So that's it, and I hope our employees will also understand. Marami po sa kanila nagwo-worry about this interest and about this moratorium. And hopefully through the drawings ay nakapost na po yan sa DepEd Philippines. Tingnan nyo lang po doon. At kung meron kami kayo sa aming bayanihan 89 list, because right now we have this 89 GF who have this. Salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Yusek Ann Sevilla, sa mga updates po, at talagang malaking tulong no sa ating mga DepEd teachers and employees yung mga nagagawa nating pakikipag-usap sa different PLIs. So yan, kung may mga katanungan po kayo kay Yusek Ann, pero kung wala naman, ma'am, I think we can also proceed na dun sa usual question and answer. We have a lineup here. Let's start with Miss Claudette Siriaco of Business Mirror. Good morning, Miss Claudette.
Good morning, Secretary. Good morning.
Mayong aga, Claudette.
Mayong aga, Secretary. Secretary, 1 week po after tayo nagbukas ng klase, ano po yung nakita nating areas na kailangan nating i-improve at ano po natin ito i-address?
Para sa akin, dahil iba't iba naman ang level ng decision making at saka ang struktura ng napakalaking organisasyon. Ay ang pagharap nitong mga maling balita, mga paninira ng maliit na grupo na napipick up naman sa social media at maski maliit sila, kunti sila, nakaka-damage sila sa credibility ng institusyon. Habaan ko yung sagot ko, Claudette, dahil hindi pa ako naka-chance na mag-comment at mag-report sa inyo kung anong assessment natin sa nangyayari during the opening. Maraming nagsasabi bakit ginamit ko ang word na victory. Kasi kayo mismo alam ninyo on a day-to-day basis na napakatindi ang debate kung bubuksan ba o hindi ang eskwelahan, ang academic school year for this time, no? And when the president made the final decision and then we implemented that decision, that was a major victory. Dahil napakaingay, napaka-vicious, napakabastos ng mga criticism at saka ng exchange ng argument at nahihirapan kung minsan ang publiko na mag-sift ng truth from fiction. So for us, nakabukas tayo on October 5 sa mandato ng presidente dahil may bago kasi tayong batas na ipinasa sa taong ito ng Kongreso, ng House at saka ng Senate na ang presidente ang mag-decide kung kailan bubuksan ang school on the advice, on the recommendation of the Secretary of Education. And the fact that we were able to open schools for this academic school year is a victory in itself because of all the vicious noise that was going on from very limited groups. Mayroon namang mga valid advice na binigay sa amin. May mga precautionary measures na ginawa from both houses, from the president himself. At ito ay tinugunan namin. Sa loob ng 4 na buwan, dahil 2 buwan nagbakasyon muna ang teachers, starting from June, binago natin ang curriculum from K to 12. Hindi binawasan natin ang mga learning competencies. Pangalawa, tiningnan natin ang status ng ating hindi na yung infrastructure, yung buildings natin na nasira ng series of typhoons and earthquakes. Tiningnan din natin yung modality. Anong paraan? Paano tayo mapagpatuloy ng sa learning process kung ang president mismo was reluctant. So, dinibatehan ng husto, ilang consultations ang nangyari, hundreds and thousands of parents and learners were asked kung anong gusto nila. Alam namin na hindi naman sobra, maraming smartphones na nakakalat sa bansa. Alam namin na mismo ang aming mga teachers, may sarili naman silang mga gadgets, karamihan sa kanila, sang-ayon sa statistiko. Pero alam din namin na hindi naman fair na ipapagamit yung mga personal nilang gamit para sa DepEd. So lahat-lahat tinitingnan namin, binago namin ang approach, kaya na-formulate natin yung blended learning approach Pero walang face-to-face dahil ang presidente very reluctant sa face-to-face classes. So blended, mayroong online, may offline, may television, may radio, at saka yung modular. Sa actual day ng enrollment na sinasabi ninyo, ang focus was on the online aspect and on the modular materials. Nakalimutan natin ang television, nakalimutan natin ang radyo na ginagamit sa karamihang mga eskwelahan, lalo na yung sa mga malayong lugar. At isa sa mga nakatulong sa amin, sabihin ko na ito, dahil on the whole, you must remember, and you know the numbers very well, dahil hindi naman namin pinagkait ang data at information sa inyo. We have 61,000 schools, and you have one school which on a fine day on September climbed up the roof, yung mga teachers nila, dahil mayroon silang seminar on communications, etc. Reenact ito on October 5, tapos pinaulanan na ng balita na on October 5, the teachers had to climb up the roof to get a signal. Itong mga pangyayaring ito, isang pangyayari, pero ang buong departamento na ang sinasabing ito nangyayari sa buong departamento. Alam naman natin na hindi yan nangyayari sa buong departamento. You have 61,000 schools, you have more than 48,000 public schools. No? But yung mga conclusions na yan were quite disturbing. Mayroon ding isang balita na lumabas, nagsasabi na kawawa naman yung isang teacher, she had to operate her farm, she had to do farming kasi yung pera niya ginastos niya para sa modular. Alam naman natin na marami naman tayong teachers, maski naghihirap sila, maliliit na mga lote, mga 1/4 hectare, 1/2 hectare. Ako taga-probinsya ako, alam ko ang kalagayan ng teacher. At talagang kinocultivate nila yan during summer. Pero sasabihin na dahil ginastos sa module, kaya nag-farming na lang si teacher during the vacation time, medyo dramatic, medyo romantic, pero medyo may kalayuan sa katotohanan. Lahat ng mga reports na natatanggap namin, verify namin yan. Madali ngayon dahil sa komunikasyon. At saka yung mga mental health issues, trinace namin. Yung mga worries and fears about COVID infections, at sa mga lugar na talagang mataas ang risk assessment, hindi naman namin pinapayagan yung teachers na lumalabas sila. May mga instances na nagkaroon ng COVID ang isang teacher dahil pumunta siya sa ibang lugar, yung kapatid niya. May isang teacher kasama sa boarding house na ibang opisina, doon niya nakuha. May isang friend doon sa kabilang island, pagbalik niya may COVID siya. Lahat tinitrace namin yan. Pero kung sabihin natin dahil yan sa modular, medyo, as I said, it's romantic, it is dramatic. I'm not even sure if it is romantic because you don't destroy yourself over, not necessarily, we don't have the professional capacity and the depth of experience to analyze behavior and impacts. Ito pinag-aaralan ng mga psychologists ngayon. Napakaganda ng reports nila. At ito ay siniseryoso namin, tinitingnan namin lahat. So kung tanongin mo ako, Claudette, generally as a whole, very successful ang launching. Mabibilang mo sa daliri na isang kamay yung may mga problema. Kagaya nitong over-dramatized event na nangyayari in September, pinick up kabuuan ng mga media outlets at mga citizens and ended after how many weeks of exposure with our teachers being laughed at and criticized because the problem that they were presenting could have been resolved very easily. Makikita ninyo yan sa mga Facebook entries na kasimple daw na problema ay bakit na-dramatize pa. And so on and so forth. So, number one challenge na nakita ko is telling the truth. The whole truth, hindi yung part of the truth and the rest is a lie. And the rest is manufactured. And also, alam ng karamihan na ito ay manufactured, pero kinalat pa rin. And on the basis of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 incidents na bilang namin, including errors, kunwari sa mga learning modules, lumalabas na hindi naman kasalanan ng DepEd. Halimbawa, yung module na sinasabi na may double meaning, talagang na-verify namin, it is on record. Ayaw lang namin gawing malaking istorya, pero ang nangyari, alam na siguro ninyo, na hindi naman yung DepEd material. Ay yung mga banana rice terraces at saka yung nasa libro ngayon, there's so niya ng isang master teacher. Siguro, ako ay isang teacher, hindi naman kailangan turuan ang media. Hindi naman kailangan turuan ang mga netizens. Kasi very highly educated tayo as a people, sabi natin. Marami sa atin sa journalism, nag-aral sa abroad. Marami sa atin multi-awarded. At hindi kayo kailangang sabihan ng Department of Education, oy, mali ang behavior ninyo. Kayo ang maghusga sa sarili ninyo. Kasi ang media is self-regulating. Kayo mismo, mga professional sa media, you regulate yourselves. Hindi na kami ang magsasabi. Swerte na lang kung makatanggap kami ng letter of apology. Pero mas malaking swerte sana kung mayroong public apology. Sa damage na nangyayari sa aming institusyon, dahil sa pagkalat nitong mga balita na sa duda ko, dahil bright naman ang media, bright naman ang civil society, bright naman ang mga bata, alam nilang hindi totoo. Lalo na ang probinsya ay Batangas. At lalo na ang issue ay connectivity na hindi naman hawak ng Department of Education. Kaya uulitin ko yung sinabi ni Yusek Nepo Claudette on this particular issue dahil na-dramatize ito. It is a reenactment, yung mga series of photos. It did not happen on October 5, but it was reported as happening on October 5. Tapos, isang outfit lang ang naka-interview. Ang iba naman, wala ang interview. Pinulot lang yung mga photographs. So, ang sabi ko nito, ang komentaryo ko, kasi siyempre marami na namang magagalit, mumurahin na naman ako at mag-demand ng aking resignation. You are big boys and girls already. You are professionals. And in your profession, you regulate yourselves. Self-regulating kayo among yourselves. And you are taught sa undergrad pa, and you learn along the way on the matter of balanced reporting on the matter of telling the truth. At saka kayo naman ang gumagawa ng standards of professional behavior sa you are trained, no? So, wala akong sasabihin. Ang gagawin lang namin, we will make the report of Yusek Malaluan available. Nasa inyo yan kung i-report ninyo yan. Nasa inyo yan kung sasabihin ninyo yung sinabi ni Yusek Malaluan. Dahil all of that is verified. Oo, hindi naman kami ganun ka-careless. At because there are several incidents similar to this lalo na sa mga learning materials. Isang celebrity, sabi ka agad kay Aurora, etc., etc. So siguro I will also write in Spanish and explain na hindi amin yung mga materials na sinasabing amin, na ginagamit ang DepEd na logo, na binibenta sa mga learners. Anyway, so ang masasabi ko lang, yung mayroong kasabihan sa baka ma-bored na naman kayo because I like to quote na do not do unto others what you would like others to do unto you. At saka tayo sa profesyon natin sa journalism, sa pagsusulat, napaka-high ang standards and expectations natin of people in society, lalo na people in government. Kunting pag may mali, expose, demand, resignation. May makita sa maliit na isang eskwelahan out of 61,000, mag-demand ng resignation because the entire Department of Education is already in crisis. Sabi nga ng aking predecessor, hindi naman masasabi natin na education is in crisis. Education has chronic illnesses. In the same manner that society has chronic illnesses as well. So ang masasabi ko lang, i-repeat ko lang yung sinasabi dahil sasabihin niyo, sabi na naman ni Briones, na mayroong kasabihan na ang sipag-sipag natin makikita yung mote. You see the mote in your brother's eye, yung muta sa mata ng kapatid mo. Pero hindi mo nakikita yung napakalaking piece of wood na nasa mata mo rin. Galit na galit ka dahil may muta yung brother mo or sister mo. Pero hindi mo nakikita na may napakalaking piece of wood or maybe a piece of rock or stone right also in your eye. So, wala na akong masasabi niyan. Yung sa enrollment naman, siguro sinabi na ni Jess sa inyo na umabot na tayo ng halos 90% of last year. Biro mo, napakatinding pandemic, napakatinding epekto ng economic sa economy ng pandemic na COVID-19. Pero umabot tayo ng 89.63% compared to last year's enrollment. At nag-exceed tayo sa public school enrollment, na-exceed natin ang last year's enrollment. Tapos more than 50% sa alternative learning systems ang nag-enroll. Ang challenge sa atin ay ang private enrollment. Palagi ko na yung sinabi, paulit-ulit, since June pa yan, nag-umpisa tayo na less than ng mga. Ngayon, more than 50% na, halos 51% ng mga bata, unti-unting bumabalik yung galing sa private school, bumabalik sa schools nila. At saka obvious na maliwanag na ito ay may connection sa economy. Kasi yung mga parents na wala ng trabaho, mga OFWs na by the hundreds of thousands na umuwi, na nagpapaaral ng mga anak nila sa private schools, naghahanap sila ng trabaho. Pero they have until November, and sabi namin, and don't wait until November. So with the gradual opening of the economy, then enrollment will get better. I'm not saying that October 5 was perfect because I said it was a victory. The fact that we were able to open on October 5, the fact that education continued officially on October 5, in spite of the noise, in spite of the criticism, in spite of the viciousness, in spite of the fake productions of news and photos, etc., etc., schools open on October 5. And in my speech, I mentioned Lapu-Lapu. Someone noted that I must know a lot of Lapu-Lapu. Baka classmate ko si Lapu-Lapu or something, or contemporary. There is a growing body of literature on Lapu-Lapu. And the authority on Lapu-Lapu, of course, as you all know, since you are all well-read, of course, is Rasil Mujares of San Carlos University in Cebu. yung buhay ni Lapu-Lapu. I mentioned Apolinario Mabini. All throughout the revolutionary period, we were plagued by cholera epidemics. Sunod-sunod yan since the 1890s. Daming mga cholera epidemics. Pero patuloy ang revolusyon. Apolinario Mabini himself died of cholera at the age of 38, which is probably close to your specific ages. So, itong mga bagay na ito do not deter us. And the latest, of course, is the action of the Department of Education during the Marawi rebellion. Alam naman ninyo that classes continued in Marawi. Classes continued. We accepted children all over the country, more than 20,000 of them, in different schools all over the country, so that the children would not be deprived of education. And this is what is also happening. If we did not proceed and stop, freeze natin ang education, we would have lost how many months of learning for our children. We would have been one of kasi ang magiging kasabay natin ay ang Cambodia kasi August sila nagbukas. Kasi everybody else started. Mayroong nag-start ng May, mayroong nag-start ng June. Ang Singapore tapos na yung first term nila. Nagre-review na sila for the national examinations para mag-move on from one grade to the other. Vacation na sila ngayon, nagre-review. Ngayon, pero we do not compare ourselves with Singapore. If we move to next year, magiging kasabay natin kasi sa bansa na lang ang natitira na hindi pa nagbukas ang eskwelahan. Ang bansang ito ay ang Kenya. So, tayo naman, talagang nagpursige tayo. Mahirap mag-blended learning na walang face-to-face. Kaya mamaya, pupunta ako sa cabinet meeting, i-report ko itong mga pangyayaring ito. Isama ko itong incident na ito. Kasi mismo sa IATF meeting, yung mga pictures na yan, pinakita ng isang grupo ng very credible professional practitioners, not in the field of journalism, but in the field of medicine. Yung pictures na yan. And so, ang sabi ko sa IATF meeting, wag isama yung picture na yan dahil reenactment yan. And I know whereof I speak. Before in civil society, I was convener of Social Watch Philippines. At the height of the debates on the DAP, on the pork barrel, I climbed yung doon sa EDSA, yung statwa diyan sa EDSA. Umakyat ako doon. Mayroong nagtutulak sa baba, mayroong naghihila. At saka yung itsura ko, hindi ma-drawing by the time I reach the top. At saka yung init, ang tindi ng init, hindi makaya ng make-up. Hindi makaya ng sabay-sabay na nakaupo, na parang chorus line, parang mga performers ng Swan Lake Ballet. Hindi ganon. Ako, amateur ako. But I know because I have climbed also buildings and I have climbed rooftops. And it is not like that if it is real. Diba? And you can also tell yourselves because you are better than I am. Your eye is so much more sharp than mine could ever be. So, for today, ang sagot ko kay Claudette, napakahaba, largely favorable, victorious, dahil minomonitor namin. On the morning of October 5, may lindol sa Mindoro na intensity 5, more than intensity 5. On the morning of October 5, may mga local government officials na nagsabing ayaw nilang magbukas ng eskwelahan. Ito ay mga nare-resolve. And on the morning also of October 5, may mga pictures, mga reenactment na kumalat ng husto. But for the rest of the country, patuloy ang learning process. So, assessment ko, overall, successful. May mga problems. Mabuti na lang nakakatulong na nagkaroon tayo ng dry runs. Kasi dry run natin lahat na proseso na ito. Nakita natin ang kakulangan, na-aksyonan natin yung mga kakulangan na yan. So, thank you na may chance akong maka-report sa inyo kung anong nangyari. Kaninang umaga, in-interview ako. Nung Sabado ba yun? Friday, in-interview din ako. Yun din ang sagot ko. It's largely successful. There were few instances, but not all of the instances reported are true or real or factual. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. Yun lang po yung tanong ko. Halong, Sec.
Hi.
Thank you po sa pagsagot, Secretary.
Maraming salamat, Secretary Leonor Magtolis Briones, and thank you po, Ms. Claudette Siriaco ng Business Mirror. May we also recognize
hindi
the
rehearsed, hindi ako na-brief because hindi ako sumunod sa advice na kailangan, charming, and so on and so forth.
Thank you, ma'am. May we also acknowledge the presence of the Undersecretary for Administration, Yusek Elaine Pasqua. Ngayon, ang next po na magtatanong ay ang kasamahan natin from ABS-CBN, Ms. Jasmine Romero. Good morning, Ms. Jasmine.
Good morning, Rego. Good morning, Secretary at sa mga secretaries. My question is regarding doon sa nai-report kanina ni Yusek Nepo tungkol doon sa unfavorable pictures na umikot sa social media. Last week, you have mentioned that an investigation is being conducted. My question now is, will you file any legal charges against those people who posted it on social media?
Dapat si Yusek Malaloan ang sasagot niyan. Si Nepo ay isang ekonomista, isa din siyang abogado. UP College of Law, UP School of Economics, and former Action for Economic Reforms member. He's a lawyer.
I think if it's about the Santo Niño, I think there is a part of it where the teachers were in effect partly the posting on September 24 was a real posting, or I think it was September 23, but that was not the understanding for the reenactment of the story. So, as mentioned by the Secretary, I think, and my own assessment from that is, I do not want to call them parang victim, because of course you have to be really doubly careful in what you do and make sure that it's the communication aspect is I don't know how to describe it, and therefore you have to really be very careful. And but with respect to the media, I think the Secretary has made her position that a large part of that has a self-regulation aspect also on the part of the media, and I think it's an expectation and a request even, especially at this time, because there are implications that are sometimes institutional, damaging institutionally. Of course, I think the Department of Education has not been one to always resort or to resort at the first instance to a legal procedure. That can be discussed, but at this time, I think we can, for now, issue such a sharing. Now, with respect to the others, it will be case by case that we will look into that. It's just that this matter was shared also, and we wanted to validate what really happened, because there are so many loose ends just from the visuals of it. And I think we have a responsibility to make such a clarification also on behalf of the department, the school, and the teachers themselves, because probably the intention might have been good, but I don't think it was what was intended. So, but for now, I don't think my personal opinion, because tomorrow we'll have an executive committee meeting, but I suppose the secretary has made there is self-regulation that is functioning, and it is not just a matter of sensitivity, really, on the part of the Department of Education, but I think we're ready to respond to criticisms, to adverse reports, but and a truth of the truth and the facts on a certain matter. So probably now, this is my personal opinion, that we can leave it at that for the moment, but without prejudice to the Department of Education taking a deeper discussion on this overall, and not a particular case like this. Sorry if I cannot give a straightforward answer. I think the secretary has already stated based on the facts. I think what I did was only to share the findings from our validation of this particular report. Thank you.
What I was saying, Jasmine, is that journalism, writers, etc., is a self-regulated profession. You are not told what to do and what to say, etc. Kasi you regulate yourselves, you set standards for yourselves, and many of you are very highly trained university graduates, studying abroad, award winners, and so on. So while you have expectations of the public, I believe that you also have expectations among yourselves. So what we are doing is giving you the facts. But as to other avenues, I don't know if our legal person is here. Nandito pa si Yusek Joe. Our legal counsel will surely advise us on any appropriate action we may want to undertake. So that's all that I can say at the moment. Mayroong another issue where we are, which we have already resolved. We have traced it, kung saan nanggaling, paano yun nangyari, at saka anong school pinuntahan talaga yon. So we already have complete information. And where again, the Department of Education was the subject of queries both from the House and from the Senate. Na tinanong kami ng dalawang senator kung responsable kami nitong particular media item. Pero ayon, we have most of the facts already. So we rely on the advice of our legal office. Pero administratively, we know what to do. Basta schools, we know what to do because kami ang nag-regulate ng schools. Pero ang media, we don't want to commit suicide. we don't want to commit communications, we said. But as I said, media is respected. You regulate yourselves. You have your own groups. And you are the ones who will decide. For example, itong binigay na information ni NEPO, ilabas ba ninyo yan o hindi? Yung mga facts surrounding that picture, ilabas ba ninyo o hindi? That's a decision that you will be making yourselves. Hindi naman namin kayo masabihan na, ay ilabas ninyo yan, ito talaga ang nangyari. All that we can do is maybe issue a press release. Pero nasa inyo yan kung ilagay ninyo yan sa isang kasulok-sulukan ng ano ninyo, publication o an after or sometimes padala ka ng letter of apology na kami lang ang nakakakita o nakakatanggap. Nasa inyo yan because you are, as I said, you are big boys and girls. You are not K-12 anymore. Kaya kayo ang mag-pasya niyan and we will react accordingly. If I make it. Nandiyan ba si Jo?
Another question po.
Yeah.
Secretary, another question lang po na different topic. Due to the challenges of distance learning, meron po bang anticipation of some students dropping out? And if so, is DepEd expecting enough?
Mayroong gustong-gusto sila, mayroon naman nahirapang mag-adjust. At ito, sinabi nga ito ni Yusek Dads, at saka yung NCR, mas mabilis silang magpadala ng feedback dahil malapit sila, no? Pero iniipon namin ito lahat. We're getting all of this together para kami ng policy. Ngayon, Jasmine, you have a law which says it's the president who decides matters like opening up school, kailan. Kaya itong lahat na mga experiences natin na nangyayari sa opening school, kaya nga kami, we're very pleased na talagang tinuloy namin. May mga feedback kaming natatanggap at iniipon namin ito lahat as good or bad or recommendatory. Ang karamihan kasi, Jasmine, is really recommendatory na siguro mas magandang ganito, siguro mas ma-effective kung ganyan. Sa isang specific, may bata na nahirapan o may teacher na things like lahat. Kasi i-assess talaga natin. Kasi this is the first time that we have done blended learning without palagi lang naman nagbe-blended learning pero ang dominant is face-to-face. Ngayon we are having blended learning with no face-to-face because of COVID-19. So we are getting feedback from lalo na mga parents themselves and from the children. Kasi if you are about 8 or 9 years old, a child, you can already, you know how to write the secretary. And I get it directly from them. Kung anong gusto nila, sinasabi nila yung mga bata. Kaya pinag-aralan natin ang gusto. Judging from this experience natin for blended learning. If I may, just one more sentence. Jasmine, ang ating blended learning is very unique dahil walang face-to-face. Kasi because of the intensity of the COVID-19. Usually blended learning may halo talaga kasi nagbe-blend ka. So lahat na feedback iniipon namin and we might make recommendations to the President. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jasmine Romero of ABS-CBN. Thank you, ma'am, Secretary. Ngayon, pakinggan naman natin ang tanong from CNN Philippines, Ms. AC Nichols. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Secretary, and to our other DepEd officials. I just wanted to follow up on the statements or on the questions regarding the pictures that went viral yung sa Santo Niño na school in Batangas. Gusto ko lang pong tanungin kasi lumalabas po sa statements nyo na you're saying na hindi po nga naging factual yung naging reports. But whether the pics were taken on October 5 po or not, isn't it correct na it represents kung ano po yung mga challenges na pinagdadaanan po ng mga teachers natin sa blended learning? And in fact, isa po sa kanila yung nag-post ng picture earlier. So, ano po particularly dito yung issue ng DepEd? And basically, I'm just wondering why this is such an issue and bakit po sinasabi na hindi na po factual yung mga na-report on this incident when in fact, yung mga teachers naman po ang gustong magpakita nun to show kung ano po yung mga challenges na kailangan nilang pagdaanan when it comes to blended learning. Thank you.
Yeah, that was the original, that was the intention of the teachers. But the way it was treated, it resulted in all sorts of comments at nag-viral. At saka, hindi na-emphasize that was a reenactment. At saka, ang onus ng blame, linagay, pinukpok sa ulo ng Department of Education na the matter of communications, the matter of connectivity is not an exclusive headache of the department. It's a headache of the entire governmental system. We have this problem. Oo, and to demand resignation and mumurahin ng isang agency on this particular problem which is affecting everyone, saan ang diyan? Saan ang fairness diyan? At saka hindi complete yung istorya. Yun ang ibig kong sabihin na kaya yung teachers had to climb up, kasalanan niya ng DepEd. Parsainin mo yan si Briones dahil siyang may kasalanan sa lack of connectivity. So, kami nga, tinitingnan nga namin yung sitwasyon ng mga teachers. The intention was good. Reenact nila. It happened in September. Tapos it was aired in October.
Secretary, may I add also? May I know kung sino yung nagtanong? I just so that
CNN.
I can.
Ms. AC Nichols of CNN, sir.
Hi, AC. I think it probably would go into the nature of what is a if that's the standard by which the media takes of a faithful representation of facts and events, as mentioned by the Secretary, you are regulating yourselves. But it was represented to be based on that an everyday occurrence that these teachers are going to the roof at such peril to themselves and at such adverse conditions na mainit and so on because they have to do this every day to monitor the children's performance when in fact that is not actually happening in that school. That was represented to be what was happening in by symbolisms of things in your reportage. That's a standard that is asked to you. And I think, as you mentioned, so what's the big deal? I think then it reflects the standard by which as a media, of course, I mean, we're just the subjects of news here, trying to make a clarification and providing the context. So what's the big deal is I don't know what's if there's no big deal with representations of events, happenings as facts as they happen, then that's the standard by which reportage is now. And I think we need to all be clarified with that standard, so that we're also on due notice. Like those teachers are on due notice that they were expecting a reportage of an event. Of course, they're talking about the sacrifices that teachers do, and that was among them. But I don't think that they were expecting it to be represented as an everyday occurrence for them to go to the roof and to use that for blended learning, because it did not represent also the modality that the school has done. So I don't know what media. When do we now choose when you are making a symbolic representation, factual representation? So we just take our pick the way you are saying it, and what's the big deal? So I guess that's your message.
Sir, actually, sirs, we didn't carry that. I'm just curious because as a follow-up also, based on your investigation, is this something that they need to do regularly din? Kahit na modular sila, is this something that they still need to do? Kasi parang na-represent na parang ito yung kailangan nilang gawin regularly when in fact hindi. So tama.
If you were listening to my sharing, there's stronger signal for Globe. It happened on that day that it was down, and so this teacher carried with him was carrying with him a smart modem, because he happened to be not in that locality. He is from a different municipality in Batangas, not in Santo Niño. And so he was carrying the smart, which happened to be the one with the low signal. And while it is weak, there are certain spots where you can look for a strong signal. So is it an everyday occurrence? It is not. Does it happen every day that they have to go to the roof? It does not happen. They have communication mechanism with the students without having a recourse for that. Now, if it is intended to be symbolism of the connectivity issue, then probably properly explained and contextualized, then it may be seen as that. I would say that somehow the ABS-CBN angle might have had such an implication, but for others, it was seen as an actual, precise representation based on of an event, or as I mentioned, an everyday occurrence, which it is not, and they're making judgments and conclusions and using it as well in relation to DepEd and then eventually to the teacher. So that's the fairness that we are looking for. Now, is it an expectation that should not anymore be applicable in the current standards of reportage? Then, as mentioned by the Secretary, it's your regulation of yourself. If it's no big deal to you, then that's the industry's call.
Okay, thank you, Yusek. And for my second question lang, just clarification if Yusek Dads is still here. Yusek, earlier you mentioned yung tungkol sa mga modules na since there are reports or feedback na may mga na-overwhelm po ng mga students, and then may follow-up din po na if it means na hindi na masusunod yung plans, yung module plans. And Yusek, that you said na pwedeng yung iba ay magiging optional. Tama po. I just wanted to clarify if that means na meron na pong mga modules na hindi na magagamit kung hindi po masusunod yung plan, yung original module plan.
Okay, thank you for the question. Hindi ko sinabing ang modules ang aalisin. Yung ibang exercises sa modules ay pwedeng bawasan para ma-i-adjust nga, ma-reconfigure yung mga assignments na hindi naman overwhelming. Yun ang point. Hindi ang module ang i-disregard. Yung ibang exercises doon o ibang pinapagawa na sa paghuhusga ng teachers at ng mga principals ay pwedeng alisin muna, ay yun yung adjustment na sinasabi ko.
Okay, so yung mga worksheets po, kumbaga, for example, for one module or one lesson, merong 4 na exercises or activity. Parang ang point niya is maybe 2 of those gawin na lang muna ng optional para hindi po natatambakan, kumbaga, yung mga estudyante natin.
Yun yung sinasabi ko. Oo. Yung ibang activities ay optional na lang. Yung mga kakayanin siya. Pero yung average learners na seemingly na-overwhelm ay, yun nga, sinasabi ko na pwede siyang optional at nang mabawasan yung workload ng mga bata.
Okay, how will this affect naman po yung sa assessment nila? Kung hindi po nila magagawa lahat ng basically nakasama po dun sa mga modules na activities, will that affect their assessment? Kasi may certain percentage po for worksheets, ganun, and for mga performance-based tasks din po.
Yung mga nilatag nating performance tasks, hindi naman yun super bigat. Ang kasama kasi dyan yung mga formative
Rego? Nawala yata si Yusek Dads.
Yusek Dads, mukhang nawawala po yung audio.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, clear na po, sir. Clear na po. Salamat po.
Anong narinig? Narinig lahat o may naputo?
Nawala po yung audio kanina yung dun sa adjustment po, sir.
Yung sinasabi natin ay yung assessment mismo ay hindi naman completely i-disregard. Yung pa rin yun, written outputs at performance tasks, yung mga exercises at yung summative assessments na magiging basihan ng marka ay most likely pa rin. Pero yung formative assessments ay pwedeng magawa ng mga adjustments.
Okay, thank you po, Yusek.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Aizen Nichols of CNN Philippines at kay Yusek Dads po. Ms. Ina Hernando of Manila Bulletins raising her hand. Ms. Ina?
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me, Rego?
Hi, Ina.
Yes.
Hello po.
Hi.
Comment lang on the Santo Niño High School photos. I think kasi po ay lahat we're all photos. So I think po part ng photographer's job yung mag-interview. So yun lang po yung isa sigurong kailangan kong i-take note. And siguro understand na kailangan pong maging truthful and accurate yung media reporting. Maybe this is also a point na kailangan i-consider ng DepEd. Yung clarification po din mismo that comes from the agency itself because the photos went viral on October 5 but ngayon lang po talaga nakapagbigay ng explanation on the photos that went viral. So siguro yun po yung isa kong gustong i-point out because dun sa presentation ni Yusek Nepo kanina, he mentioned all the outfits na nag-carry. Pero lahat po yun ay photos. Wala pong in-depth articles and kung ang sinabi niya po kasi kanina, walang nag-interview, isa lang. Kasi po, hindi yun part ng trabaho ng photographer na pumunta doon. So since hindi po lahat ng reporters and also wala rin pong isang event where the yung media po who covers the DepEd na nabibigyan except from the weekly briefing, hindi po siya na i-explain agad. So ang ano lang po siguro doon is on the issues concerning, it would be best kung makakapagbigay po sana ng immediate na response. And also, yun po siguro yung tanong ko, bakit po ba hindi na ipaliwanag agad ng DepEd at days after pa nung naipaliwanag siya?
Ako muna.
Can I respond also to that, ma'am?
Yeah.
After you.
Ano naman, point well taken, Ina. Of course, the impulse is to answer immediately. Like yung issue ng bastos na items doon sa isang material which was attributed to us. Sinagot agad-agad kasi the hearing was ongoing. Itong issue na ito, si Yusek Malaluan went pa to, binisita niya talaga ang lugar and he talked to people and he gathered information dahil ayaw namin na hindi complete yung data na makuha namin because tapos ang expectation siguro pero mahaba kasi yung response ng sa mga netizens. Ang haba-haba ng mga sagot. Detalye ng paraan. Ito sana ang ginawa ninyo. Mag-ano kayo ng booster. I-plug ninyo sa ganito, etc. So mukhang may interest, nag-arouse ng interest at saka indignation. Public. At saka isa pala ako ng IATF, nag-report ng isang talagang confederation of professionals na malaking and very credible yung tao na nagsalita sa IATF. Lumabas yung picture na yan. So I realized na kailangan talagang mayroong full explanation. Although may balak na talaga kami na by Monday, this Monday we'll spend more time on this particular issue. But not only on this issue, but other incidents which are attributed to DepEd and for which DepEd is excoriated viciously and bitterly for things it is not responsible for. Kasi kung may kulang kami, inaamin naman talaga namin eh. Kung may mali, inaamin namin yung mali. Pero yung hindi amin, kailangan siguraduhin namin. I'm not justifying, but I agree with your point. I agree with your point na kailangan i-clarify kaagad para sa mga hindi nakakaalam kung anong circumstance yun. Ako mismo, nagtatanong din ako kung paano yun nangyari. Kasi biro mo, IATF is a cabinet group. Tapos lumabas yung picture na yan. And so I said na remove that picture because it was going to be circulated. Hindi lang yung sa netizens but professional groups na nagre-react. So nagiging mahalaga. Pero I agree with you. Pero if kung nangyari yung nag-deny kami kaagad, maybe my language would have been more colorful.
May I respond also as well? I think yung 2 points. Now that we're talking about responsibilities on our side and on on your side, and as mentioned by the Secretary, you're largely a self-regulating sector, while the Department of Education as a public institution is expected to be accountable to everyone at all times. But from a responsibility perspective, even in photos, and then you make a representation of a photo, because these photos were not photos without captions. They were given a certain a narrative representations. As I mentioned, if you will look at it, it represents what is actually a regular occurrence with respect to the learning delivery, with all its implications that on readiness of DepEd, on the undue burden to the teachers and everything in those. That might be correct, but as a generalization, but then the representations that should be made should be factual representations. And if the point is, we take our pick and discern for ourselves when what you represent is a symbolic or a factual representation, I think that that's a very difficult standard, either us as public institutions or probably the public as well, as a reading or a viewing public. Now, the immediacy of response is, as mentioned by the Secretary, then that is can be taken as a responsibility on our part. But the reality is that evening we checked, and the stories don't add up yet. That's why I had to go there, and truth to tell, even up to yesterday, I was making follow-up calls just to make sure that what happened, in other words, part of the validation. So sometimes validation also takes time, and I don't know if in reportage that's not anymore expected for you to before you write your captions, you check the story, or it's really so loose that's the standard as AC says. So what's the big deal? You just live with it. I guess that's the standard for the industry, and based on your self-regulation.
Just a follow-up lang po on the whole thing. Siguro ang gusto ko lang, isa sa mga gusto kong i-point out is
Plus your photographers also knew that to be a reenactment, not a it was a stage photo with the teachers thinking that they were a reenacting to tell the story of as they did that training a professional development incident, and not represented to them as talking about the school opening and how they were dealing with the students, because that is not how they are dealing with the students. So if when somebody takes your photographers take the story, and then it's up to your desk to decide what story to tell or how to caption it, and then it's up to us to make the clarification that that's not how it was captioned by your desk needs clarification. Then that's actually what we're trying to do, except that it did not meet your standard of immediacy. Thank you.
Okay, sir. So in relation to the thing that we've been discussing, one of the things that I would want to point out is the message that it sends not only to us, to the public, but also to the teachers, because yun na po nanggaling that the story itself came from a teacher. So sa kanila po nanggaling, they wanted to be they wanted it to be a source of inspiration, but it turned out that it didn't turn out that way.
No,
So
no, they did not solicit it, Ina. It was a Facebook post of a teacher that GMA News saw and reached out to the teachers. They did not seek out.
yes, sir, but the fact that they posted it on Facebook for everyone to see is like an invitation that this is one of the stories that can be published. Kasi sir, kung hindi naman nila gustong I wouldn't want to use the word promote. Pero kung ayaw naman po nilang bigyan ng presence yung sarili nila, why do they have to post it? So yun po kasi
but from a story based on the interview and an understanding of a certain representation of that story, I think that's one of their. In fact, when I talked to them, I also asked them what their thoughts on the matter are. Obviously, when you go out there, that's one of the learning points. I mean, intentions probably, it might not be what it seems once it goes out there from a news and social media perspective.
So, sir, like going back, the message that overall, because it's what we're seeing right now, and some of the teachers also might be thinking na, what does this mean for us? Does it mean na hindi na kami pwedeng mag-post on our social media? And does it mean na yung mga challenges ba ay hindi na namin pwedeng i-point out because it can be taken out of context?
I think it's very clear to them that that is not the message, and I did say that to them in our conversation. It is more that if there is a certain representation, then to on our part as a department have to clarify, because representations matter. Now, if it were stated to be a symbolic representation of the overall difficulties, etc., then if that's stated as such, then fine, and I think that will be responded to in a different manner by DepEd and probably by the public. But if it is take your, I mean, it's like it's everyone's lookout how you will interpret something as true. It might be a factual representation of a regular occurrence, or it is a symbolic representation of a broader matter. If that responsibility is to your reading and viewing public, then you guide us how to deal with it, because it's difficult to deal with it also. I mean, how should we deal with your reportage? We take it with a much broader, I don't know, view. It might be a factual representation, it might be a symbolic representation. They just have, I don't know, I really don't know how you suggest we should take stories like this, and if it is not possible for, let's say, because we're public institutions, to have certain expectations of standards for reportage, or to inform us what those standards are, because we're dealing with information all the time, and I can tell you it is not a message to the teachers not to voice out or state what is a reality. I can tell you that they were also very upset in the sense of what happened, and how even the response to them from that. But I think the public would not have responded also the same way that they are, doing a photo op or etc. or over dramatizing things and so on, if the context in which it happened was provided, which would still put the point that there are challenges that our teachers are facing, and we acknowledge that. I mean, connectivity, as mentioned by the Secretary, is really a major challenge, but its representation cannot be just because that's true. However we want to portray it, it's all well and good. I don't know if we're making making our point across, because probably we're talking about different expectations of standards.
So just to be clear also, since we're giving...
Just 2 points. We are not telling media to do this or to do that. We are giving them the facts. Kasi that would be suicidal. And we understand, we know and have the issue of ethics in journalism has been a long-running issue for decades and decades and decades. And the profession regulates itself like many other professions. Kami, we regulate the education aspect. But the second point is we don't tell our teachers what to post or not to post, because they're supposed to teach even young people critical thinking, to analyze, to look at facts before reaching conclusions. Yun ang tinuturo namin sa teacher para ituro sa mga bata. So hindi din namin sila sinasabihan na huwag kayong that's the worst thing that can also happen. You tell them not to post in Facebook if you have whatever issues you have, you can raise. And many of them write me directly. Many of them also write to the president himself or the write to their officials. Pero ang bagsakan yan, siyempre, doon din lahat sa DepEd magdatingan. And there are many ways by which they are able to articulate their concerns, and that is tolerated. That's part of being in a democratic society. Hindi sila pinagbabawalan. Pero kung may issue na sa tingin namin, kailangan may additional information, kung sila ay may karapatang magsabi kung anong concern nila, may karapatan din ang DepEd na sagutin kung bakit nangyayari yung mga bagay-bagay, yung mga problema nila. It's always give and take. Pero hindi namin yan gagawin sa mga teachers, even students. And I get letters from young children also. Oo. And various groups.
Last na lang po on this issue, since we're giving it an extensive explanation about yung particular incident na ito that leads to another issues. Meron po ba tayong parang plano in terms of policies? Meron po bang specific changes para maiwasan na yung mga ganitong klaseng, sabi nga ni Yusek Nepo na misrepresentation? Meron po ba tayong specific na hakbang na gagawin para maiwasan na itong mga ganitong klaseng damages sa institution?
Ang aming basic principle is talaga kung mayroong shall we say, criticism or concern or attack sa departamento o sa educational system, sagutin dapat. And we have answered. Nakita naman ninyo na practically monograph yung sinagot namin, yung mga audit issues. Detalyado din, very well researched, kasi nagkaroon ng hearing sa Senate, nag-hearing ang House several times and printed pa. And this report of NEPO can also be made available, but as to what the public does with it, we don't demand that from our various publics. Ang basic principle is talagang dapat sagutin at i-trace kung totoo ba o hindi. Oo. Ngayon may isang instance na medyo na-board na siguro ang media at saka ang mga netizens na hindi na nila tinitake up. Pero nung primero talagang abot din sa Senado at saka inano namin lahat ng facts. Ayaw lang namin na basta-basta lang magpalabas ng and I was advised also by our legal office not to talk publicly about these matters just in case there will be other developments. And you know what issue I am referring to just before enrollment. Maraming bagay na pinagbibintang. Ang joke ko nga, I hope you will please do not quote me, the time will come kung may earthquake, kasalanan ni DepEd yan. Ay yung COVID na yan, kasalanan ni DepEd. Kung may nangyayari sa lipunan, kasalanan ni DepEd. Dati, when I was new, kakaupo ko lang, ang issue ay yung daily lesson log. Maalala mo yan, Ina? Everybody was crying about the daily lesson, how difficult it is, how demanding it is on the teachers, etc., etc. Ngayon, it is the module. How difficult it is, etc. Although we are saying module is expensive and eventually we will have to be limiting the use of modules. So ngayon, ang whipping boy is module and connectivity. But we have to face it. That's part of being a servant of the government and of the people. Kasama yun. And we just do our best, that's all. But we cannot tell other sectors of society because we respect them. They are well trained. They're experienced. They have a nose for news. They know what makes headlines. They know what will attract the readers, the viewers, and the listeners, because that is their specialty. So that is also their responsibility. In the same manner that the formal learning is also formal learning from K to 12 is our responsibility, and that is our accountability as well. Yung accountability ninyo sa inyo yon, sa inyo yan. We give you the information at if there are other implications, then ibang bagay na yun, which may not involve us anymore.
May I also add a little, Secretary? And one of that is that the implication is really not how we deal with, sharing or whatever to the media, but rather, of course, we're looking at the policy implications of the issues. In this case, the matter of connectivity, as mentioned by the Secretary,